Tonight, we're exploring the dark history of abandoned Pokémon locations, and it gets a lot darker than you think. For those of you who've been joining us consistently, I want to thank you for being such an integral part of our channel. If you're falling asleep with us tonight, let me know in the comments how many nights in a row you've been here. And if this is your first night, just comment Night 1. Now, let's get back to the video. When we think of the world of Pokémon, our minds are naturally drawn to the light. We picture vibrant, bustling cities teeming with life, innovation, and endless possibility. We imagine sprawling, sun-drenched routes where young trainers embark on journeys of discovery, forging unbreakable bonds with their partners as they travel from town to town. We think of the roaring crowds in grand stadiums, the flashing, comforting lights of the Pokémon centers, and the endless, optimistic pursuit of becoming a champion. It is a world that feels inherently bright, a kind of modern utopia built on the harmony between humanity and nature. But this cheerful veneer is only a fraction of the truth. If you step off the neatly paved paths, if you wander just a little too far into the dense, untamed forests, or dive deep beneath the crashing waves of the ocean, the cheering crowds fade away. The bright colors drain into muted shades of grey, brown, and deep oceanic blue. The comforting melody of modern life is replaced by the hollow, echoing sound of the wind howling through cracked stone. Here, in the quiet, forgotten corners of every region, lies a very different kind of world. A world of abandonment, a world of decay. A world that remembers what the modern era has so desperately tried to forget. These are the abandoned locations of the Pokémon universe. They are the crumbling temples, the sunken ships, the shattered monuments, and the sealed caverns that dot the landscapes of Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and beyond. They stand in silent defiance of the bustling cities that have grown up around them, serving as lingering ghosts of a dark, complex, and often terrifying history. Imagine standing before the massive, weathered stones of the Tannabe ruins in the Sevii Islands, far to the south of the Kanto mainland archipelago. The air here is thick with an ancient, heavy stillness. You can run your hands along the cold, unyielding rock of the puzzle chambers, feeling the deep grooves carved by a civilization that has long since vanished from the face of the earth. These chambers were built with a profound, almost obsessive purpose. They were designed to interact with the enigmatic unown, to harness or perhaps merely understand a power that defies the laws of reality. But the people who laid these stones are gone. They left their puzzles unsolved, their chambers empty, their grand designs unfinished. The architecture implies an intent to return, yet the permanent, crushing silence of the islands tells us that they never did and they never will. What happened to them? What drove them away, leaving behind nothing but cryptic symbols and the watchful, unblinking eyes of the unown hidden in the dark? This is the feeling that permeates the abandoned places of this world. It is a profound, unsettling emptiness. It is the realization that the Pokémon world is incredibly old, and that human history is merely a thin layer of dust settling over the ruins of empires that have risen and fallen for thousands of years. To understand why these abandoned places matter so deeply, we must recognize that they are not merely architectural failures or the victims of changing economic times. They are not simply empty buildings waiting to be repurposed, they are scars. They are the physical remnants of the moments when humanity brushed up against the divine, the catastrophic, and the incomprehensible, and paid the ultimate price. The history of the Pokémon world is written in the language of cataclysm. It is a history of ancient civilizations that grew too proud of people who believed they could control, worship, or harness the godlike beings that share their world. And in almost every instance, that hubris was met with devastation. When we explore these ruins, we are walking through the graveyards of human ambition. We are looking at the direct consequences of meddling with forces that shape the land, the sea, and time itself. Consider the post-Iron Age societies that worshipped the legendary titans. They built magnificent structures, bowing down before Regirock, Regice, and Registeel, marveling at the sheer elemental power of these beings. But worship eventually curdled into a deep primal fear. The very people who revered these titans ultimately sealed them away in cold, dark tombs across the Hoenn region and locked the great creator, Regigigas, deep within the freezing depths of Snow Point Temple in Sinnoh. What must it have felt like to realize that the gods you prayed to were too powerful, too alien, to safely coexist with? The sealing chambers are monuments to that terror. They are desperate, ancient panic rooms, designed not to keep intruders out, but to keep the unimaginable power locked within. The stakes of understanding these locations are nothing less than understanding the delicate, perilous balance of the Pokémon world itself. If we ignore the warnings carved into the stone, we remain blind to the true nature of the universe. The modern world of gym battles and friendly rivalries exists entirely at the mercy of the ancient powers that slumber beneath the earth, behind sealed doors, and at the bottom of the sea. These abandoned sites also serve as prisons for the wicked and memorials for the tragic. They are places where the veil between the world of the living and the realm of spirits grows dangerously thin. Roughly 500 years ago, a malevolent force known as Spiritomb, comprised of exactly 108 spirits, was bound to an odd keystone and cast into a dark, historic fissure as a severe punishment for its misdeeds. For half a millennium, it has sat in the suffocating darkness, a living curse buried in the dirt, waiting for a foolish traveller to stumble upon its resting place. The sheer weight of that isolation is difficult to comprehend. 500 years of unbroken silence, broken only by the shifting of the earth and the slow dripping of groundwater. And then there is the profound tragedy of the Brass Tower in the heart of Ecruteak city. Built roughly 700 years ago as a magnificent monument to the legendary Pokémon Ho-Oh, Castor. It stood alongside the bell tower as a beacon of harmony between humans and Pokémon. But 150 years ago, that harmony was violently shattered. A sudden vicious storm brought a bolt of lightning that struck the tower, igniting a catastrophic fire that raged for 3 days and 3 nights. The flames consumed the magnificent wooden structure, reducing it to the charred, skeletal remains we now know as the burned tower. In that inferno, 3 nameless Pokémon perished, trapped in the blazing heat. Though they were resurrected by Ho-Oh as the legendary beasts Entei, Raikou, and Suicune, the trauma of that night forever altered the region. Lugia, the guardian of the seas, fled the sister tower and retreated to the dark, swirling depths of the Whirl Islands, never to return. The burned ruins remain untouched to this day, a massive, blackened tombstone in the middle of a bustling city, a constant, unavoidable reminder of the night the sky caught fire and the gods abandoned humanity. As we delve deeper into the lore of these forgotten places, the mysteries only multiply, intertwining to form a massive, unsolvable puzzle. Why do the cryptic unown appear in both the Tanobi ruins of the Sevii Islands and the Alph ruins of Johto, 2 locations separated by vast oceans and entirely different cultures? Did a single ancient empire span the globe, speaking a language of living letters, only to be wiped out in a forgotten cataclysm? What secrets lie buried beneath the shifting sands of the desert resort in Unova, where the relic castle slowly sinks into the earth, taking the glory of an ancient civilization down into the dark, suffocating dunes? Or consider the abyssal ruins, accessed only by diving deep into the ocean east of Undella Town. It is a sunken temple tied to the collapse of an ancient Unovan society, where kings once ruled before the waters rose to swallow their legacy whole. The deeper you dig, the more you realize how much of the world's history has been intentionally erased. There are places where the very fabric of reality seems to fray and tear, abandoned not just by humans, but by the laws of nature itself. Journey to the Sinnoh region, and you will hear whispered myths of Turnback Cave, a disorienting, impossible labyrinth hidden near Veilstone City. The fog here is thick, clinging to the damp stone walls, obscuring paths that seem to loop back on themselves in endless, maddening circles. It is said that this cave is a tear in the world, a direct link to the distortion world, where the banished legendary Pokémon Giratina slumbers in a realm of antimatter. The myths surrounding this place suggest that humanity learned early on to rely on the companionship of Pokémon rather than weapons, perhaps because no man-made weapon could ever hope to stand against the horrors that dwell in the spaces between dimensions. And what of Fogbound Lake? A place so steeped in secrecy that the legendary being Uxie will actively erase the memories of any intruder who dares to discover its location. To find it is to forget it. The ultimate abandonment is not just the physical decay of a place, but the systematic annihilation of its memory. How many ruins exist in the Pokémon world that we do not know about, simply because the knowledge of their existence has been wiped from our minds? How many ancient battlefields, how many sunken temples, how many sealed vaults are sitting in the dark right now, waiting for a light that will never come? The mystery stretches across every known landmass, leaving a trail of sorrow and ruin. In the Kalos region, the tranquil beauty of the landscape hides the horrifying legacy of the ultimate weapon. 3,000 years ago, a king, driven mad by the grief of losing his beloved Pokémon in a senseless war, constructed a machine of unparalleled destruction. He drew the life force from countless Pokémon to power his creation, ending the war but cursing himself to eternal life and leaving behind deep, scarred ruins that radiate an odd, unsettling energy to this day. Geioenge town sits in the shadow of this dark history, a quiet settlement built over a dormant apocalypse. Similarly, the creation of the artificial Pokémon Magiana some 500 years ago is tied to ancient kingdoms that have long since crumbled to dust, leaving behind only mechanical marvels and faded blueprints. In the tropical paradise of Alolan, the ruins of conflict, life, abundance, and hope stand as weathered testaments to a time when the guardian deities clashed with the cosmic entities Solgaleo and Lunala some 500 years ago. The ancient altars of the sun and the moon are steeped in celestial mystery, bridging the gap between this world and the ultra-space beyond. Travel to the Galar region, and the atmosphere grows even more oppressive. The wild area is dotted with the crumbling stones of the Watchtower ruins, shrouded in a perpetual, chilling fog. Deep within the slumbering Weald, the rusted relics of ancient heroes lie forgotten in the mist, overgrown with vines and guarded by illusions. Even the crowned tundra hides an old cemetery, where worn tombstones jut from the frozen earth, an eerie graveyard hiding secrets of lost kings, forgotten harvests, and mysterious carrot seeds beneath the bitter snow. And in the Paldea region, strange, leaking towers and ruined forts dot the landscape, serving as the lonely perches for Gimmighoul. But darker still are the blocked, chained caves that house the treasures of ruin. These legendary entities were born from human malice, greed, envy, and hatred, sealed away by ancient monarchs who realized too late the doom they had invited into their kingdoms. Every region has its ghosts. Every region has its regrets. We can even look to the oceans of Hoenn, where the unfathomable lore of Sea Morville awaits. It is a massive, half-sunken research facility and abandoned ship that sits rusting in the water, a chilling testament to corporate ambition swallowed by the sea, leaving behind only flooded corridors and locked doors hiding dark secrets of exploitation and environmental collapse. To truly appreciate the melancholy of these abandoned locations, we must cast our minds back through the vast, unfathomable stretches of time that define the prehistoric Pokémon timeline. We are not just talking about decades or centuries, we are talking about epochs. 10,000 years ago, the world was a vastly different place. The last ice age was coming to an end, slowly thawing the frozen continents. The magnificent, towering mamoswine, which had dominated the frozen tundras, began to dwindle and fade as the climate shifted, their massive forms becoming relics of a colder, harsher era. In the ancient oceans, the ancestors of Magikarp, once incredibly powerful and formidable creatures, underwent a tragic mutation, weakening over millennia into the fragile, flailing Pokémon we know today. It was an era of colossal shifts, where the legendary titans of the land and sea, Groudon and Kyogre, engaged in cataclysmic rivalries that boiled the oceans and fractured the continents. Their destructive war was only quelled by the descent of Rayquaza from the ozone layer, forcing the ancient behemoths to retreat into deep, subterranean caverns to slumber for 10 millennia. When you stand in the Cave of Origin, or the seafloor cavern, you are not just standing in a cave. You are standing in the bedroom of a sleeping god. You are surrounded by stone that was superheated by primordial magma and crushed by abyssal water pressure 10,000 years before the first Pokémon League was ever established. The sheer scale of this history makes humanity seem incredibly small, a fleeting spark in the long, dark night of the universe. The haunting nature of abandonment in the Pokémon universe is so pervasive, so deeply rooted in the concept of fleeting joy and inevitable decay, that it even bleeds into our own reality. In the spring of 2005, a magnificent Pokémon theme park known as Poke Park opened its doors in Aichi, Japan. It was a place of pure joy, designed to celebrate the upcoming Diamond and Pearl era, filled with laughter, towering rides, and the bright, smiling faces of children. But it operated for only a few short months, closing its gates in September of 2005. It briefly toured Taiwan from June to September of 2006, and then it vanished entirely. The rides were dismantled, the mascots were packed away, and the laughter faded into a distant memory. Today, it is lost history. There are no plans for a revival. It is a real-world, abandoned Pokémon location, a modern ruin that perfectly mirrors the forgotten theme parks and sunken ships of the games. It reminds us that nothing lasts forever. Even the brightest, most joyful places are destined to eventually fall quiet, to become nothing more than photographs, memories, and eventually myths. So, what happens when we choose to walk into the shadows? What happens when we leave the safety of the known world and venture into the silent, echoing halls of the past? Tonight, we are going to find out. We are going to embark on a slow, deliberate journey across the regions, tracing the footsteps of the ancients and uncovering the dark history of the most mysterious abandoned locations in the Pokémon universe. We will brush the dust away from the unyielding stones of the Sevii Islands and try to decipher the final thoughts of the people who built the Tanobi chambers. We will stand in the rain outside the burned tower in Ecruteak City, listening for the phantom cries of the legendary beasts in the wind. We will dive deep beneath the waves of the Undella Bay in Unova, descending into the crushing pressure of the deep ocean to walk the flooded halls of the abyssal ruins, where the kings of old sit on thrones of coral and bone. We will wander through the thick, disorienting fog of the slumbering Weald and press our hands against the rusted metal of the ultimate weapon in Kalos. This is not a journey of fast-paced battles or triumphant victories. There are no badges to be won here, no crowds to cheer your name. This is a journey of quiet reflection, of uncovering the hidden tragedies and the ancient hubris that shaped the world. It is a journey into the dark, into the quiet, into the places where time has stopped, and only the stones remember what happened. So, as we prepare to step across the threshold of the modern world and into the ruins of the past, I invite you to settle in. Let go of the bright lights and the bustling noise of the day. Allow the quiet atmosphere of the forgotten world to wash over you. Take a deep breath of the cool, ancient air. Listen to the slow, rhythmic dripping of water in a dark cavern, the gentle rustle of dead leaves in a forgotten cemetery, the distant, mournful cry of a Pokémon echoing through an empty hall. close your eyes, let the mystery surround you. The history of the Pokémon world is waiting in the dark, and the ruins have so many stories left to tell. Let us begin our descent. Deep within the vibrant streets of bustling cities like Lumiose or Castelia, where trainers laugh and Pokémon play under eternal sunshine, lie the silent voids that no one dares to name. These are the abandoned ruins, etched into the map like scars from a forgotten war, standing in stark defiance to the cheer around them. Towering skyscrapers hum with life nearby, yet just beyond the horizon, stone crumbles into dust, swallowed by vines and shadow, whispering of civilizations that reached too far and paid the ultimate price. Picture the Tannabe ruins on Seven Island in the Seviai archipelago, south of Kanto's mainland. A labyrinth of puzzle chambers carved by hands, long turned to bone. These aren't random relics, they're deliberate gateways, etched with symbols that summon the unown, those enigmatic letters floating in the ether like ghosts of an ancient script. The builders poured their genius into these walls, aligning chambers to channel otherworldly energies, but something went wrong. The puzzles remain unsolved, the unown trapped in eternal loops, as if the creators fled in terror, sealing themselves out forever. Why build such intricate traps if you never meant to return? The wind howls through those empty halls now, carrying the echo of Hubris, a people who toyed with forces beyond their grasp, only to vanish into the void they unleashed. Across the sea in Johto, Ecruteak city pulses with festivals and lantern light, but step into the shadows of the burned tower, and the air thickens with ash that never settles. Erected 700 years ago, alongside its golden twin, the brass tower was meant to house Ho-Oh, the rainbow phoenix of resurrection. Humans climbed its heights in worship, offering prayers to bind the divine to their will. Then, one fateful night, 150 years passed, flames erupted from within, devouring 3 sacred beasts and toppling the structure into ruin. Ho-Oh, in fury or sorrow, breathed life back into the charred remains, birthing Entei's blaze, Raiku's storm, and Suicune's crystal purity. Lugia, guardian of the seas, abandoned the skies for the Whirl Island's depths. The tower stands charred and hollow, a monument to divine retribution, proof that when mortals demand eternity from gods, the gods respond with fire. Not far off, in a fissure long overgrown, the tale of Spiritomb unfolds 500 years ago. A restless spirit, born of 1,000 vengeful souls, wrought chaos until the people bound it to an odd keystone, slamming shut a prison of stone and incantation. That seal endures in the ruins, humming with malice, a reminder that some sins demand eternal isolation. Nearby, Snowpoint Temple guards Regigigas, the colossal mover of continents, locked away after the Iron Age by those who once knelt before its kin, Regirock from Hoen's deserts, Regis from icy peaks, Registeel from metallic forges. Worship turned to fear, and fear to chains, dragging these titans into the Earth's darkest vaults. Venture to Sinnoh's Turnback cave, lurking near Veilstone's modern sprawl, where fog clings like a shroud and paths twist into oblivion. Legends speak of a fleeing shadow, perhaps Giratina itself, slipping into the distortion world, leaving humans to arm themselves not with blades, but with Pokémon bonds, for weapons failed against such cosmic wrath. At Fogbound Lake, Uxie watches from the mists, erasing memories of any who stray too close, ensuring the lake's secrets dissolve like mist at dawn. These voids aren't empty, they're prisons for the universe's mightiest, hidden in isolation where the world above forgets. Unova's deserts hide Relic Castle and the abyssal ruins, sunken temples reached only by diving into lightless depths east of Undella Town. An ancient kingdom thrived here, their relics gleaming with lost knowledge, until collapse swallowed them whole. Hubris, in the form of forbidden relics perhaps, punished by sands that shift eternally. Geioenge town in Kalos bears the scar of the ultimate weapon, a war machine buried in earth, still scarred by conflict, its vibes seeping unease into the air. Alola's ruins, conflict, life, abundance, hope mark battles 500 years old, where guardian deities clashed with Solgaleo and Lunala, leaving altars cracked and paths overgrown on Pony's ancient trails. Even Galar's wild area whispers through Watchtower ruins and the fog-veiled slumbering Weald, while Paldea's Gimmighoul towers rise like spectral forts, to homes to the treasures of ruin locked in blocked caves. Stow-on-Side and Route 6 hide barrows of the forgotten, and the old cemetery in the giant's bed cradles tombstones worn by time, seeds of carrots sprouting mockingly amid the graves. Hohensee Malville drifts as a sunken husk, its corridors flooded with mysteries no diver returns to tell. These silent voids thread through every region, a tapestry of decay amid prosperity. Civilizations rose on the backs of legendaries, demanding power, immortality, control, only to invoke divine fury that sealed away the very gods they craved. The most potent forces, Giratina in distortion, Regigigas in ice, Spiritomb in stone, languish not in grand halls, but in the map's forsaken fringes. Guarded by puzzles and peril, their prisons hum with restrained might, a cosmic balance teetering on abandonment. As you drift deeper into this eerie calm, let the shadows pull you toward echoes even older. Frozen in time, from an age when ice gripped the world and legendaries first retreated into hiding. What cataclysm birthed those primordial chills in echoes of the Ice Age? Those silent voids we explored, the ruins crumbling under the weight of forgotten hubris and divine retribution, don't mark the beginning of the Pokémon world's scars. They echo back much further, to a time when the land itself was a frozen wasteland, shrouded in perpetual twilight. Over 10,000 years ago, long before the first human settlements etched their fleeting marks on the earth, the Pokémon world huddled beneath the crushing embrace of the Ice Age. Vast glaciers clawed across continents, carving deep fjords and smothering forests in sheets of unyielding blue-white frost. Mammoth herds thundered across tundras, their breaths forming clouds that mingled with blizzards howling like restless spirits. In this primordial chill, life adapted in brutal, unforgiving ways, and Pokémon reigned as titans of survival. Dominating these icy realms were the Mamoswine, colossal behemoths with tusks like scimitars, curving through the snow in herds that darkened the horizon. Their Pokédex entries whisper of a lineage unbroken for eons, ancient swine Pokémon whose herds once blotted out the feeble sun, filtering through storm clouds. They tunneled through permafrost, uprooting frozen boulders as if they were pebbles, their thick hides impervious to gales that would shatter lesser creatures. Fossils unearthed in Sinnoh's icy caverns speak of their supremacy, bones piled in ossuaries where predators dared not tread. You can almost hear the ground shudder under their charge, feel the spray of snow from their stomping retreat. But then, without mercy or warning, the Ice Age shattered. Temperatures surged in a cataclysmic thaw, rivers bursting from glacial prisons, flooding valleys that had known only frost for millennia. Forests erupted from the melting earth, vines and undergrowth reclaiming the tundra in a frenzy of green rebellion. The world warmed, but not kindly. Mamoswine populations, those unchallenged kings of the cold, dwindled in shadows of mystery. Why did they vanish so abruptly? Pokédex lore hints at a frailty hidden beneath their bulk, a biological tether to the ice that snapped when the climate betrayed them. Survivors retreated to the fringes, their numbers fracturing into isolated pockets, leaving behind vast, empty plains scarred by their absence. Those abandoned tundras, now overgrown and silent, stand as the first true voids in Pokémon history, places where the echo of tusks still lingers on windless nights. As the ice receded, Other tragedies unfolded in the warming waters, deep in ancient seas, where primordial currents swirled with the debris of collapsing ice shelves. The Magikarp endured a fall from grace more heartbreaking than any legend. Once these fish were no helpless splashers flailing against riverbanks, fossil records and Pokédex tales reveal their true form, ferocious predators, sleek and armored. With jaws that crushed shelled leviathans and fins that propelled them through tempests like arrows, they ruled the oceans alongside coelacanths and relicanth, ancient survivors whose lineage predates the thaw. Imagine schools of them slicing through glacial meltwater, their scales glinting like obsidian under fractured ice. Yet the end of the Ice Age twisted them mercilessly. As oceans rose and ecosystems convulsed, a biological regression gripped the species. Genetic echoes of their power faded, mutations stripping away muscle and might, leaving behind the pitiful creatures we know today. Magikarp, the symbol of weakness, became a floundering remnant, splashing futilely in shallows, their bodies betraying the apex hunters they once were. Scattered across rivers and ponds, they persist as living ghosts, a tragic reminder of nature's indifference. In forgotten coastal ruins, where waves lap at submerged bones, you might glimpse their diminished forms, schooling in the shallows, oblivious to the glory lost in the flood. This climatic upheaval rippled upward, touching even the divine. Legendary Pokémon, those colossal forces woven into the fabric of reality, felt the Earth's fever. Geioenge, the sea basin's architect, stirred in abyssal depths as waters swelled beyond control. Groudon, expander of continents, rumbled beneath cracking landmasses, its primal energy clashing with the deluge. Rayquaza, high in the ozone veil, uncoiled in warning spirals. But greater still were the ancient guardians, beings whose slumbers predated human memory. Climate shifts forced them into retreat, burrowing into cavernous hearts of mountains or sinking into lightless trenches. Regigigas, the colossal golem, hauled its kin to sealed temples, their stone forms locked in eternal vigil amid post-Ice Age chill. In places like Snowpoint Temple, their presence lingers as a dormant pulse, the air thick with the weight of 10,000 years of interrupted dreams. These prehistoric echoes shape the voids we tread today, abandoned sites where the Thaw's fury left its mark. Glacial moraines now overgrown with brambles hide Mamoswine relics, riverbeds choked with Magikarp ghosts murmur of lost potency, and cavern mouths exhale the breath of slumbering legends. The Pokémon world, vibrant on the surface, bears these deep scars, timelines layered like permafrost cracking underfoot. And as we trace these frozen threads further, they lead straight into the heart of Chapter 3, the primal cataclysm, where land and sea waged war on a scale that redrew the world itself. What fury drove those titans to clash, and how did it birth the ruins that haunt us still? Drift deeper with me. As the glaciers of the Ice Age receded 10,000 years ago, unleashing rivers that carved new paths across the land, the Pokémon world teetered on the brink of total annihilation, not from cold, but from a fury far more primal. Deep beneath the waves, Geioenge stirred, the embodiment of the endless sea. Its massive form, pulsing with primordial energy, expanded the oceans with every surge of its tail, flooding continents in relentless torrents. Skies blackened under perpetual storms, lightning cracking like the bones of the earth itself. Villages vanished overnight, swallowed by waves that rose hundreds of feet high, leaving only splintered timbers and the echoes of desperate cries. On land, Groudon rose in defiance, a colossal beast of molten rock and unyielding earth. Its footsteps split mountains, raising continents from the depths while droughts scorched the air dry. Lava rivers snaked across what remained of the world, igniting forests into infernos that blotted out the sun. The ground heaved and cracked, swallowing rivers whole, as the two titans clashed in a rivalry that dated back to the planet's birth, a battle not of conquest, but of dominance over creation itself. Their war reshaped the globe in hours what would take eons for nature alone. Islands erupted from the sea only to sink again under Geioenge's wrath. Deserts bloomed briefly with rain before Groudon's heat turned them to glass. The air grew thick with salt and ash, a choking veil that blinded survivors huddled in caves, whispering prayers to forgotten gods. No human hand could intervene. This was the primal cataclysm where sea and land sought to erase each other from existence. From the stratospheric heights of the ozone layer, Rayquaza watched, the sky dragon whose domain was the balance above it all. Sensing the planet's core fracturing under the strain, it descended like a comet of emerald fury, piercing the storm clouds with a roar that shattered the heavens. Its serpentine body coiled through gales that could flay stone, wings slicing tempests into harmless wisps. Rayquaza confronted the warring behemoths not with brute force, but with the authority of the skies. Mega evolved in primal rage, its form elongated, eyes blazing with delta energy. It unleashed Dragon Ascent, a vortex of wind and pressure that pinned Geioenge to the abyss and hurled Groudon into chasms of its own making. The Ozone Guardian enforced equilibrium, forcing the Titans to yield as the world hung by a thread. Exhausted and humbled, Geioenge retreated into the lightless depths of the seafloor cavern, a yawning void off Hoenn's eastern shores where currents swirl eternally cold and dark. There it slumbers in crystalline hibernation, its breath still stirring undersea quakes that unsettle divers even today. Groudon burrowed into the Cave of Origin, high in the jagged peaks near Sutopolis, a labyrinth of echoing chambers where the air tastes of sulfur and stone. These sanctuaries bear the scars of that ancient fury, jagged fissures in the seafloor cavern where light never reaches, walls etched with bioluminescent veins pulsing like fading heartbeats. The Cave of Origin looms with oppressive silence, its depths humming with latent power, drawing the foolish with visions of Earth's secrets only to crush them under collapsing vaults. Explorers report whispers on the wind, shadows that mimic the Titan's forms, a lingering dread that the cataclysm could awaken anew. Geological wounds persist across Hoenn, the sheer cliffs of Route 134 born from continental rifts, sunken atolls where Geioenge's floods linger as treacherous reefs. Earthquakes rattle the region without warning, and typhoons brew from nowhere, reminders that the slumber is uneasy. Ancient tablets in Sky Pillar speak of Rayquaza's vigilance, perched eternally above, ready to intervene should the balance tip once more. Yet humanity, peering into these forsaken places, feels the weight of what was nearly lost. The seafloor cavern's entrance, guarded by perpetual whirlpools, hides relics of drowned fleets, rusted anchors tangled in coral, etched with pleas for mercy. In the Cave of Origin, faded murals depict the Titans' clash, colours bled into stone by millennia of drips, warning of power beyond mortal grasp. This primal slumber set the stage for bolder ambitions as survivors rebuilt amid the scars. But as iron tools sharpened and egos swelled, a new era of hubris dawned, one that dared to challenge the gods themselves. Tune in next for Chapter 4, Hubris of the Iron Age, where ancient seals and forbidden worships unravel into catastrophe. As the skies cleared and Rayquaza returned to its ozone throne, the world entered a fragile peace. But humanity's ambitions were only beginning to stir from the ashes of primal chaos. Centuries rolled by, marking the dawn of what we now call the Iron Age in Pokémon lore, a time when early humans forged tools from smelted ore and built the first grand settlements along Sinnoh's frost-kissed coasts. It was here, amid these iron-forged hearths, that whispers of a colossal guardian first echoed through tribal firesides. Regigigas, the ancient titan said to have towed entire continents into place with raw, unyielding might, became their object of awe. Picture the first shamans, their faces etched with soot and wonder, carving massive effigies into sheer cliffsides, depicting this behemoth as a benevolent architect of the land itself. Villages sprang up in its shadow, offering tributes of polished iron and woven tapestries that fluttered like prayers in the relentless northern winds. They sang hymns to its slow, earth-shaking steps, believing it slumbered beneath the permafrost, sustaining the very ground they tilled. These early worshippers didn't just revere Regigigas from afar, they sought to commune with it, hauling slabs of rune-etched stone to makeshift altars where they performed rituals under perpetual twilight skies. Legends tell of Iron Age chieftains who claimed visions of the Titan's glowing yellow eyes piercing the glacial mists, granting boons of fertile soil and unbreakable harvests. Artifacts unearthed near Snow Point City twisted iron idols with hollow sockets for eyes, bear inscriptions in a Proto-Sinnoh script, praising Regigigas as the mover of mountains, shaper of shores. For generations, this devotion fueled a golden era of expansion, as humans felled ancient forests with newly tempered axes and raised megalithic halls that mimicked the Titan's colossal limbs. Faith in its power emboldened them, turning scattered tribes into burgeoning civilizations that dared to reshape the wilds in their image. Yet reverence, like iron, left too long in the forge, eventually warped under its own heat. The turning point came not from a single cataclysm, but from a series of tremors that rattled the foundations of Sinnoh's heartland. Regigigas stirred in its subterranean lair, its movements sending fissures snaking across the continent like veins of fury. Entire villages vanished into yawning chasms overnight, swallowed by the earth it once so patiently positioned. Fishermen off the northern shores watched in horror as coastlines shifted miles inward, stranding fleets amid newborn shallows. The shaman's visions darkened, no longer benevolent. The Titan's gaze burned with indifferent wrath, its roars echoing like the death knell of worlds. What began as worship curdled into existential dread. This wasn't a guardian god, but a force of nature unbound, capable of unmaking the very continents it had forged with a mere flex of its limbs. Panic spread like frost across the Iron Age strongholds. Elders spoke in hushed tones of the Great Awakening, a prophecy foretelling Regigigas's rise to reclaim the lands humans had presumptuously claimed. Iron, once a symbol of mastery, now seemed pitiful against such power, blades bent like reeds, and forges cracked under seismic aftershocks. The people, haunted by the Titan's continent-moving legacy, began to question their hubris. Had their tributes awakened it? Or worse, had their growing empires provoked its slumbering rage? Fear festered into a collective terror, the kind that grips the soul and whispers of inevitable oblivion. No longer did they carve effigies in adoration, they shattered them, burying the shards in hidden cairns to appease the beast below. From this dread birthed the ancient conspiracy, a clandestine pact forged in the flickering light of forbidden councils deep within Sinnoh's mountain hollows. A coalition of the wisest shamans, Iron Age warlords, and enigmatic sages, those who had studied the Titan's lore in crumbling scrolls, devised a desperate gambit. They would not fight Regigigas. No mortal weapon could prevail. Instead, they plotted to strip it of its power, drawing on arcane knowledge of the continental golems it had once birthed. Regirock from Hoen's rugged strata, Regis from the polar caps, Regis steel from meteoric alloys. These lesser titans, awakened briefly in ritual summons, were commanded to siphon their progenitor's essence, weakening it just enough for the final seal. The operation unfolded under veils of blizzards, a symphony of secrecy and sacrifice. Convoys of iron-clad sleds hauled colossal chains forged from the rarest ores, each link etched with binding runes that hummed with borrowed legendary might. As Regigigas thrashed in partial slumber, its limbs carving new valleys, the conspirators lured the golems into position. Regirock anchored the earth, Regice froze its veins, Registeel pierced its armor, draining the titan's vitality until it slumped, a mountain of exhausted stone. With its power ebbed, they dragged it northward, across frozen tundras, to the yawning maw of Snowpoint Temple, a monolithic structure hewn from the glacier's heart, predating even their Iron Age. Snowpoint Temple stands as the pinnacle of their terrified ingenuity, its corridors a labyrinth of dread, designed not merely to contain, but to eternally repel. The entrance yawns like a frozen scream, guarded by braziers that ignite only for those who solve the first puzzle, aligning ancient murals of the Titan's fall under slivers of aurora light. Deeper in, chambers twist into impossibility, walls of perpetual ice that shift with seismic whispers, floors etched with pressure plates triggering avalanches of rime. One room demands offerings of specific relics, mimicking the tributes once given in worship, but inverted to mock the hubris that led here. False paths lead to abyssal drops, where echoes of Regigigas's muffled roars lure the unwary to their doom. The inner sanctum, puzzle-locked by mechanisms that respond only to the golem's resonant frequencies, houses the Titan itself, Regigigas, coiled in stasis, its eyes sealed by crystalline lids that pulse faintly with restrained fury. These chambers weren't built to keep intruders out, they were crafted to ensure no human ever returned. Riddles so arcane, they demand knowledge humans were never meant to possess. Slates within whisper warnings in forgotten tongues, disturb not the sleeper, lest the continents weep. Even today, trainers who breach its depths feel the chill of that ancient fear, the air thick with the weight of a power barely contained. This desperate sealing in Snowpoint's icy abyss marked the Iron Age's bitter end, a testament to humanity's overreach and the Titan's unforgiving scale. But the conspirators knew one slumbering giant wasn't enough. Whispers of a broader pact echoed across oceans, hinting at a global effort to bind the other colossal threats forever. That story unfolds in Chapter 5, The Global Sealing of the Titans, where we'll uncover how Sinnoh's shadow stretched to ensnare legends across the world. That fear of Regigigas, once a godlike figure hauled across oceans to shape continents, curdled into something far more desperate. Humans who had knelt in awe now whispered of shadows stirring in the earth, of the Titan's gaze piercing stone from afar. They couldn't risk it waking, couldn't stomach the thought of those massive limbs grinding mountains into dust again. So they dragged it northward, through blizzards that flayed skin from bone, to the frozen wastes of Sinnoh. There, in the heart of Snowpoint Temple, they bound it with chains forged from the coldest iron, seals etched with runes that hummed with forbidden power. Regigigas slumbered, its eyes yellow slits in the gloom, but peace, that was a fleeting illusion. Paranoia festered like an open wound. If the colossal parent could reshape the world, what of its children? The golems it had carved from the raw stuff of the planet Regirock from unyielding granite, Regice from glacial heart ice, Registeel from meteoric alloy. These weren't mere beasts, they were extensions of Regigigas itself, tireless enforcers of its will, lumbering across lands with steps that cracked the bedrock. Whispers spread through villages. Had Regirock been seen hauling boulders the size of hills? Did Regice's chill precede unnatural frosts that withered crops? And Registeel, that gleaming spectre forging paths through forests without a sound. The people of the Iron Age, their reverence shattered, saw threats in every tremor. They had to be stopped, exiled, sealed away where no hand could free them. The banishment began with Regirock, the stone behemoth whose body was a mountain given fists. They lured it, or perhaps hunted it, to the scorched heart of Hoenn, a region still raw from primal cataclysms, where the sun baked the earth into cracked clay. Deep in the desert ruins off Route 111, amid dunes that shifted like restless spirits, ancient hands carved a chamber from living sandstone. Walls of petrified rock, etched with braille script that told tales of terror, warnings to any foolhardy soul who might stumble upon the seal. The one weak to water was sealed here by Regigigas. It read, a nod to the golem's granite frailty, but laced with something deeper, an apology, perhaps, to the creature they now entombed. Massive stone doors, immovable, without the precise ritual of light and shadow, ground shut behind it. Regirock pounded once, twice, sending sandstorms raging for days, but the desert swallowed the fury. It sleeps there still, a colossal prisoner in a tomb of its own element, the air thick with the scent of sun-bleached stone and forgotten regret. Not content with one exile, the humans pressed on, their dread multiplying. Regice demanded a prison as merciless as itself. They goaded it across churning seas to the isolated shores of Route 105, where waves crashed like thunder against jagged cliffs. Island Cave, they called the hollowed-out atoll, a yawning maw in the ocean's fury, accessible only when tides revealed a fleeting path. Inside, walls of eternal frost gleamed under bioluminescent fungi, the air so cold it burned lungs with every breath. Braille adorned the ice-veined stone. The one weak to fighting was sealed here by Regigigas, hinting at the golem's crystalline vulnerability, but the words carried a haunting plea. Do not disturb, they implored in raised dots, a dual message, stern warning to intruders, sorrowful farewell to the ice titan. Doors of pure glacier slammed home, fueled by some lost art of perpetual freeze. Regicis's roars echoed as fractures spider-webbed the cavern, but the sea rushed in, sealing cracks with saltwater brine. Now it broods in sub-zero silence, exhaling blizzards that chill the waves for miles, a frozen monument to human panic. Registeel proved the cruelest banishment of all. This metallic colossus, forged in the fires of fallen stars, resisted with a strength that bent spears like reeds. They herded it into the humid marshes of Route 120, where fog clung like a shroud, and ancient tombs dotted the wetlands like rotting teeth. The ancient tomb lay hidden in the overgrowth, a labyrinth of steel-reinforced walls that hummed with latent energy. Braille script scarred the alloy surfaces. The one weak to fire was sealed here by Regigigas, exposing the golem's molten Achilles heel. Yet the full inscription wept contrition. Here slumbers the guardian of the skies, it murmured, forged long ago, now bound forever. Puzzles of pressure plates and magnetic fields locked it away, doors fusing with a hiss of superheated metal. Registeel's thrashing warped the chamber, sparks flying like dying stars, but the seals held, the marsh's vines creeping over to claim the site. It waits in metallic stasis, its body a perpetual forge gone cold, radiating an unnatural heat that wilts the surrounding foliage. These weren't hasty bindings, they were masterpieces of dread ingenuity, scattered across Hoenn's most unforgiving corners to ensure no single cataclysm could free them all. Deserts that swallowed armies, seas that drowned fleets, marshes that hid horrors. The environments themselves became accomplices, natural wardens amplifying the seals. The Braille puzzles demanded more than brute force to unlock. Alignments of sunbeams in the desert, tidal rhythms at sea, harmonic vibrations in the tomb. They weren't mere locks, they were messages from a civilization on the brink, etched by hands trembling with guilt. Warnings screamed of peril, beyond this door lies peril, while apologies whispered through the stone, acknowledging the golems as kin once revered, now betrayed. We who have lived in this darkness long enough shall live here longer still, one inscription vowed, a chilling pact of eternity. That permanence chills deeper than Regice's breath. These seals were designed unbroken, riddles crafted to baffle generations, ensuring no descendant would dare or even know how to release the titans. The ancients walked away, leaving Hoenn's wilds to reclaim the sites, vines choking entrances, sands burying clues. Ruins faded into myth, puzzles dissolving under erosion's patient grind. What if a tremor from Regigigas's distant prison stirs them? What if some modern trainer, flashlight in hand, deciphers the braille and turns a key? The golems stir in games we play, but in lore's shadow, they were meant to sleep forever, echoes of a fear that reshaped the world more surely than any continent dragged. Yet those braille etchings hint at other secrets, scripts that dance like living letters in ruins, far removed from Hoenn's harsh embrace. Secrets that whisper of an alphabet forged by ancients obsessed with the unseen. Coming up in Chapter 6, the alphabet of the ancients. As the dust of Hoenn's sealed tombs settled, humanity's gaze turned northward to the mist-shrouded valleys of Johto, where the ruins of Alph stand as a cryptic scar on the landscape. Tucked just west of Violet City, these crumbling chambers burrow into a low hill, their entrances yawning like forgotten mouths amid overgrown vines and whispering winds. No grand legends of titans or cataclysms mark this place, no tales of gods clashing or continents rent asunder. Instead, the ruins of Alph hum with a subtler dread, a silence broken only by the faint scrape of your footsteps echoing off walls etched with symbols that defy comprehension. Step inside, and the air grows thick, stale with the weight of untold centuries. Flickering lantern light dances across stone slabs, inscribed with angular glyphs letters, perhaps from a language lost to the ages. They're not the flowing scripts of Johto's scholars or the bold runes of Kanto's scribes. These are sharp alien forms, twisting into shapes that mimic eyes, hands, spirals, and then they awaken. From cracks in the mortar, from shadows pooled in alcoves, emerge the unown, dozens of them, hovering silently, their single eyes glowing with an otherworldly white light. No cries, no movements beyond a gentle drift. They watch you, unblinking, as if appraising an intruder in their eternal vigil. These ethereal beings, catalogued as Pokémon yet feeling profoundly unlike any other, embody pure enigma. Each unown bears a unique glyph on its form, A through Z, even punctuation marks in some reports mirroring the ruins' carvings. Trainers who've ventured deep speak of chills unrelated to the damp stone, a prickling sense that these creatures aren't native to our world. They're not aggressive, not playful like the beasts of the wild. They simply observe, and in their presence, reality frays at the edges. Puzzles embedded in the ruins demand you slide massive slabs, aligning symbols to summon swarms of unown. Solve one, and the floor rumbles. Walls part to reveal deeper chambers. Fail, and the glyphs pulse mockingly, the air growing heavier with unspoken judgment. But the true strangeness lies in the signals they emit. Tune a radio to the ruins' frequencies, those scratchy bands between stations, and you'll catch it. Bursts of static laced with rhythmic pulses, Morse-like codes that spike in intensity when unown appear. Researchers in Johto's labs pored over these transmissions for years, decoding fragments that hint at coordinates, patterns repeating in fractal loops. It's no random noise. The signals emanate from the unown themselves, or perhaps the stones they inhabit, broadcasting on wavelengths that pierce the ether like beacons from another dimension. In the dead of night, lone explorers report hearing whispers amid the static, faint, syllabic murmurs forming words in no known tongue. Is it communication? A cry for release, or a warning pulsing through the air to ward off the unworthy? Delve into the Pokédex entries, and the puzzle sharpens. The unown are described as having existed since ancient times, their forms suggesting a written language predating human memory. Yet the ruins weren't born of nature's whim. Archaeological digs, careful excavations amid the glyphs reveal tools, pottery shards, altars aligned to celestial events. This was no natural cave system. An advanced society, thriving millennia ago in Johto's fertile plains, carved these halls with purpose. They chiseled the walls not as decoration, but as a bridge. Frescoes depict robed figures, kneeling before swirling voids, offering glyphs skyward as if pleading with the stars. Inscriptions, pieced together by linguists, speak of the awakened letters, entities summoned to share knowledge beyond mortal grasp. Imagine their ambition, a civilization on the cusp of enlightenment, decoding the unown's alphabet to unlock cosmic secrets. Chambers vary by puzzle. Some evoke water, sliding blocks to mimic floods, others fire, ice, thunder, each tied to elemental glyphs, suggesting rituals to attune the ruins to the unown's whims. Success brought visions. They believed glimpses of parallel realms, forgotten histories. The society poured resources into expansion, linking chambers with tunnels that spiral impossibly deep. Radios weren't their invention, but the frequencies they harnessed matched the unown signals precisely, as if the ancients tuned into an alien broadcast, inviting the entities to manifest. What knowledge did they glean? Fragments survive in Johto folklore, tales of alphabet spirits, granting boons to the pure-hearted, curses to the arrogant. Yet for all their ingenuity, the builders vanished. No bodies litter the floors, no signs of battle scars or natural disaster. The pottery ceases abruptly, tools abandoned mid-carve. The unown remained, or were trapped fused into the stone, emerging only when puzzles align, their eyes forever watchful. Did the signals drive them mad, unraveling minds with forbidden truths? Did the unown demand a price too steep, withdrawing their favor and sealing the gates? Or did something external strike a rival clan's raid, a legendary's wrath echoing from afar? The mystery festers. Modern scans reveal anomalies, magnetic fields warping compasses, time-dilated pockets where watches lag by minutes. Unown caught and released elsewhere pine, drifting back to the ruins like moths to flame. They're bound here, silent sentinels of a dialogue interrupted. Johto's elders whisper that the alphabet holds the key to worlds unseen, but tampering invites oblivion. Walk those halls today, radio crackling at your side, and feel the weight of eyes upon you, eyes that have stared into voids we dare not name. This thread of isolation pulls us further, across vast seas to the Tanobi ruins, where another chapter in the unown saga awaits in Chapter 7, the Tanobi isolation. What desperate measures did those distant builders take, and why did they seal themselves away forever, drift toward that revelation as sleep claims you? Those faint radio signals echoing from the ruins of Alph, carrying whispers of that otherworldly unown alphabet, stretch far beyond Johto's misty hills. They pulse southward, across the vast indigo waves separating the Kanto mainland from a chain of forgotten isles known as the Sevii Islands. Here, amid tangled vines and salt-crusted shores, lies the Tannabe ruins, a colossal sprawl of weathered stone chambers that dwarfs even Alph in sheer scale, as if the ancients poured their obsession into carving an entire archipelago of secrets. You arrive on Seven Island after a choppy ferry ride, the air thick with the tang of brine and overgrown ferns. The islands feel like a half-remembered dream, dotted with crumbling research outposts abandoned decades ago, their rusted equipment creaking in the trade winds. Modern trainers drift through like ghosts, nets slung over shoulders, chasing rare Pokémon amid the decay. But push deeper into the southern tip, past the churning Tanobi Bay, and the true expanse reveals itself. 7 vast, interconnected basins, each a sunken arena of jagged basalt walls, etched with those same cryptic glyphs. Tanobi, named for the sevenfold isolation, stretches for what feels like miles, half submerged at high tide, its pools reflecting fractured skies. Step into the first chamber, and the air shifts, cooler, heavier, laced with the faint hum you've heard before. These aren't mere caves, they're engineered labyrinths, puzzles demanding you slide massive stone blocks into precise alignments, just like Alf. But here, the mechanisms dwarf you blocks, the size of houses groan against your every shove, their surfaces crawling with faded carvings of unown forms, the twisted eye, the spiraling coil, the hovering hand. Solve one, and a hidden door grinds open, revealing a deeper sanctum where wild unown flicker into view, their bodies shimmering like heat haze, eyes locking onto yours with unnerving focus. Each of the 7 basins mirrors this ritual, but with escalating complexity. The second demands matching unown shapes to wall indentations, shadows dancing under torchlight you improvise from nearby driftwood. Fail, and the chamber floods slightly, forcing retreat as water laps at your ankles, cold and insistent. The third twists paths with pressure plates that summon illusory swarms, unown phantoms swirling in disorienting patterns. By the fourth, you're knee-deep in lore. Inscriptions speak of an ancient people who revered these letter beings as conduits to unseen dimensions, building these ruins not as tombs, but as deliberate gateways. Radio static crackles stronger here, syncing with your pokey gear, broadcasting garbled chants in a tongue that feels etched into your bones. Deeper still, the 5th and 6th chambers layer riddles atop riddles, aligning mirrors to refract light into unown constellations on the ceiling. Or harmonizing tones from crystal chimes to dispel force fields woven from psychic energy. The ancients' fixation screams through every facet. These weren't random scribbles. Unown glyphs adorn every surface, forming sentences that morph as you solve them, praising the alphabet of eternity, hinting at knowledge borrowed from realms beyond our stars. It's proof of a civilization spanning mania. Alf merely a northern echo, Tannabe the grand southern opus. They communed here, perhaps summoned unown hordes to reshape reality itself, bending probability with a single glyph's utterance. Yet as you breach the final basin, the deepest, most labyrinthine of all the air grows stale. The hum fades to a dirge. The ultimate puzzle clicks into place not with triumph, but finality. No grand treasure awaits, no radiant artifact. Instead, massive slabs seal behind you, grinding shut with a rumble that echoes like a tomb's lid. Water seeps in slowly, inexorably, the chamber transforming into a lightless sump. Panic rises as you realize these weren't invitations. They were locks ingenious, one-way traps designed by humans themselves. The ancients didn't abandon Tannabe, they exiled themselves from it, severing contact with the unown forever. Why? The walls, now your prison, whisper the truth in half-erased script. The letter Pokémon demanded too much, their alien minds unraveling sanity, twisting desires into cosmic horrors. Better to drown the bridges, flood the gates, and walk away into oblivion than risk that abyss claiming the world. Escape comes only through desperate ingenuity, diving into submerged tunnels, navigating currents laced with feral tentacruel, surfacing gasping on a distant beach. But the islands linger in your mind, their lost expedition pallor seeping into every corner. Scattered journals from vanished researchers litter the sands, pages warped by humidity, recounting visions of unown fleets blotting the moon. Today's wanderers speak in hushed tones of a schism etched into the stone, a forgotten war where humans chose isolation over enlightenment, dooming these ruins to eternal vigil. Tanobi stands as a monument to that choice, its puzzles unsolved for outsiders, unown guardians drifting in perpetual twilight, waiting for no one. This rift with the alphabet of the ancients doesn't end in the Sevii waves, though. Far to the northeast, another set of ruins pulses with the same forbidden signals, drawing threads across regions in a pattern too deliberate to ignore. Tune in next for Chapter 8, the Solaceon connection, where we unearth how Sinnoh's silent chambers, bind this mystery tighter, and what happens when the unown's whispers turn personal. From the sun-baked chambers of Tanobi, where those sliding stone puzzles locked away secrets in the Sevii Islands, the trail of the unown leads us across oceans and continents to the chill heart of Sinnoh. Nestled beneath the quiet pastures of Solaceon town lies the Solaceon ruins, a subterranean labyrinth that takes the disorienting designs of Alf and Tannabe and crushes them into something far more suffocating. You descend through a modest basement door in the Pokémon daycare, but what greets you is no open cavern. It's a vice of narrow corridors, barely wide enough for one trainer at a time, twisting into a warren of identical rooms that bleed into one another like a fever dream. These ruins don't sprawl like Tanobi's archipelago of chambers. They burrow inward, claustrophobic and unrelenting, with walls etched in those same cryptic, unown script that hummed faintly on strange radio signals back in Johto. Every turn spits you into a dead end, or worse, loops you back on yourself, the air growing thicker, the silence pressing heavier with each misstep. It's as if the architects, those ancient hands from Kanto, Johto, and now Sinnoh, refine their craft into a deliberate trap, not just puzzles to solve, but a psychological snare meant to strip away your sense of direction, to make you question if you've moved at all. Hidden among the debris are peculiar plates, shimmering with elemental power, demanding you summon specific moves to shift the stone panels and reveal fleeting glimpses of unowned swarms, their eye-like forms blinking into existence before vanishing into the gloom. What ties these anomalies together, from the Alf's radio whispers to Tanobi's isolated vaults, and now this buried maze in Sinnoh, is a pattern of engineered confusion. The dead ends aren't accidents, they're guardians, funneling the bold or foolish into endless circuits that erode the will to press on. Only the patient, or the lucky, stumble upon the central chamber, a pulsing nexus where unown forms A through I manifest in full, as if the ruins themselves are alive, watching, deciding your worthiness. But even there, no grand treasure awaits, no artifact of power, no echoing prophecy. Just emptiness, a void that stares back, hinting at what was once contained and now is not. This isn't the work of scattered tribes, fumbling in the dark. The architectural echoes scream coordination, a global pact forged in fear. Picture it, emissaries from distant lands, converging in shadowed councils, sharing blueprints stained with unown ink. They built these puzzle boxes not to harness the unown, but to exile them, to sever humanity's fragile tether to a force that twisted minds and rewrote reality. The unown, those enigmatic letters drifting on otherworldly frequencies, offered glimpses of infinity, knowledge that unraveled sanity. Early communes turned to communion, then obsession, until the power proved too vast, too alien, leaking into dreams and driving sages to carve warnings into every wall. And so they acted in unison, across regions separated by stormy seas. In Johto's Alf, they riddled the entrances with slide puzzles to deter return. Tanobi's remote islands became a prison archipelago, its chambers sealed against the mainland. Solaceon's depths amplified the horror, corridors so tight they mimic the throat of some colossal beast, swallowing intruders whole. They poured their craft into dead ends that multiplied like lies, layouts that folded space upon itself, ensuring no one could retrace the path to the heart. Humanity walked away, torches extinguished, leaving behind these subterranean tombs, silent, forsaken, the air still and stale, as if holding its breath for an intruder who never comes. The tragedy cuts deeper in that desolation. These weren't mere hideaways, they were the final sighs of a civilization that touched the untouchable. Unown didn't conquer with claws or fire, and they infiltrated thoughts, spelling out truths too profound for mortal minds. Sages saw timelines branch, realities overlap, the fabric of existence scripted in living letters. But comprehension came at a cost. visions that shattered families, prophecies that toppled kings. In panic, they coordinated the great severance, bricking up the centers, scattering the keys, and fleeing to the surface world. What remains are these puzzle crypts, echoing with the ghosts of what was lost, not treasure, but a bridge to elsewhere, now collapsed forever. Wander Solaceon today, and the emptiness claws at you. No wind whispers through the vents, no distant drips mark time. The unown flicker rarely now, pale shadows of their former frenzy, as if mourning the abandonment. Dust gathers on the plates, floors unmarked by footprints for centuries. It's a perfect stillness, the kind that amplifies your own heartbeat, reminding you that these ruins stand as monuments to regret, a worldwide whisper of "we went too far." Yet amid the hush, faint etchings persist, urging one final question. If humanity fled this power together, what other shadows did they leave stirring in the dark? That question pulls us back toward Johto's shadowed spires, where flames and resurrections hide even greater betrayals. Tune in next for Chapter 9, The Twin Towers of Ecruteak, and uncover how a single blaze ignited legends that still haunt the night. Those dead ends and disorienting corridors in Solaceon's depths weren't isolated echoes of ancient caution. They whispered of a broader pattern across regions where Johto's own shadowed landmarks began to reveal their origins. 700 years ago, long before the unown's puzzles etched confusion into stone, the people of Ecruteak City raised two colossal towers that pierced the Johto sky like twin sentinels of hope. The Brass Tower and the Bell Tower, they called them, erected side by side in perfect symmetry, their foundations sunk deep into the fertile earth of what was then a thriving plain. Crafted from gleaming metals and polished stone hauled from distant quarries, these structures weren't mere monuments. They were living bridges between the mortal world and the divine, designed to honor the radiant guardians who soared above the land. Ho-Oh, the majestic phoenix of the sun, claimed the Brass Tower as its roost, its rainbow wings folding against walls that shimmered like molten gold under the dawn light. Across the way, in the Bell Tower's serene heights, Lugia made its domain, the deep-sea dragon whose psychic calls resonated like chimes through the morning mist, a sound that steadied the hearts of all who heard it. Picture the era, not through faded sketches, but in the rhythm of daily life. Humans and Pokémon dwelled in profound harmony here, unbound by the fears that would later fracture other civilizations. Farmers tilled fields where Pidgey flocked alongside workers, their songs blending with the toll of harvest bells. Children played at the tower's bases, tossing berries to the legendary birds who descended not in wrath, but in gentle curiosity. Ho-Oh's presence bathed the crops in iridescent light, coaxing bountiful yields from soil that elsewhere lay barren. Lugia's dives into nearby waters purified the rivers, filling them with fish that leaped in silver arcs, feeding villages for miles. Ecruteak pulsed with prosperity, its streets alive with festivals where dancers mimicked the birds' graceful arcs, drums echoing up the tower's spirals like prayers ascending to the heavens. Architecturally, these towers embodied that Golden Age's pinnacle. The Brass Tower rose with bold, angular spires that caught the sun's fire, its interior chambers lined with brass panels etched in swirling motifs of flames and rebirth symbols of Ho-Oh's eternal cycle. Ladders and hidden passages wound through its core, allowing priests to ascend for rituals where incense smoke curled toward the phoenix's perch, mingling with the warm updraft from its glowing feathers. The Bell Tower, in contrast, curved gracefully like a wave frozen in ascent, its bells forged from crystal-clear ore that hummed at the slightest breeze. Lugia's chamber at the summit overlooked the sea, with vast windows framing horizons where storms parted at the dragon's mere gaze. Together, they stood as beacons, visible from Johto's farthest hills, drawing pilgrims who left offerings of polished shells and sun-warmed stones. their footsteps a constant pilgrimage that wove faith into the region's very fabric. This harmony wasn't fragile by accident. It thrived on mutual reverence, humans tending the towers with meticulous care, oiling hinges against rust, repairing storm-torn banners, ensuring the birds' domains remained pristine. In return, Ho-Oh and Lugia shielded Ecruteak from tempests and blight, their powers a natural bulwark that made the city a jewel amid Johto's wilds. Markets overflowed with silks dyed in rainbow hues, artisans crafting flutes that mimicked Lugia's song, while scholars inscribed scrolls detailing the birds' flights as omens of peace. Prosperity rippled outward, binding Johto in a web of trade routes lined with watchfires, each flame a nod to the brass tower's glow. Yet, even in this radiance, faint shadows stirred. Whispers among the elders spoke of overconfidence, humans growing lax in their duties, assuming the legend's favour eternal. Maintenance slipped cracks in the brass tower's base went unsealed, its brass dulled by neglect as festivals stretched longer into the night. Natural forces, too, tested the balance. Fierce winds howled from the west, and tremors rippled beneath the plains, subtle harbingers of the earth's unrest. The birds sensed it first, their cries sharpening with unease, but humanity, drunk on abundance, dismissed the warnings as mere whims of the weather. As the towers aged, standing proud yet unknowingly vulnerable, one fateful lapse would ignite a catastrophe that shattered the era forever. That story, the Brass Tower Inferno, awaits just beyond these peaceful heights, where flames and loss birthed legends anew. That fragile harmony in Ecruteak held for centuries, a delicate balance between the soaring brass tower and its radiant counterpart, the bell tower, where Ho-Oh and Lugia watched over the land like eternal guardians. But 150 years ago, on a night thick with unnatural stillness, everything changed in an instant. A single bolt of lightning, jagged and impossibly bright, tore through the sky without warning. It wasn't the storm-born fury of nature, no thunder rumbled in prelude, no wind howled to herald its coming. This strike came from a clear, starless void, slamming directly into the brass tower's gilded spire with a crack that echoed like the world splitting open. Flames erupted instantly, hungry and otherworldly, licking up the ancient timbers and brass plating as if the tower itself had been waiting to burn. The fire spread with a ferocity that defied the builder's craft. Those walls, forged 700 years earlier to house Ho-Oh's majestic presence, now became a furnace. Orange tongues of flame danced along the eaves, curling into the night like grasping claws, while thick black smoke billowed upward, blotting out the moon and choking the air with the acrid stench of searing metal and charred wood. Ecruteak's citizens gathered in the streets below, their faces illuminated by the inferno's glow, murmuring prayers to the legends they once revered. For 3 relentless days, the blaze raged unchecked. Day turned to night and back again under that unyielding pyre, the heat so intense it warped the air into shimmering waves, blistering skin from hundreds of feet away. The tower groaned under the assault, its brass skeleton twisting and popping like the bones of a dying beast. Screams pierced the roar of the flames, desperate animalistic cries from within. 3 Pokémon, nameless wanderers who had sought shelter in the tower's sacred heights, found themselves trapped as the stairways collapsed and doorways sealed in molten ruin. You can almost hear them still, those haunting wails carrying on the wind, mingling with the crackle of collapsing beams. One, perhaps a sturdy creature of earth and flame, clawed at the upper windows, its silhouette frantic against the firelight, before vanishing in a shower of sparks. Another paced the lower chambers, battering against unyielding walls until exhaustion claimed it. The third, elusive and swift, darted through the smoke-filled halls, only to be cornered by the encroaching blaze. No rescue came. The humans below could only stand frozen, buckets and ladders useless against the tower's towering fury. guilt settled over Ecruteak like a shroud that very first night. Families huddled together, whispering of omens ignored the strange flickers of light in the tower's peak weeks before, the restless flights of Lugia over the sea. Warriors who had once boasted of their prowess now wept openly, their weapons idle at their sides. Elders recounted tales of divine displeasure, wondering if human ambition had finally tipped the scales. Yet they watched, hour after agonizing hour, as the fire consumed layer after layer, stripping the brass tower bare. On the dawn of the fourth day, salvation arrived not from effort or prayer, but from the heavens themselves. A downpour crashed upon the city, sudden and apocalyptic, as if the sky had torn open in grief. Rain hammered the flames with sheets of water thick as waterfalls, hissing steam rising in colossal clouds that drenched the streets and turned gutters into raging torrents. Lightning flashed anew, but this storm felt alive, with rage bolts forking wildly, winds howling through the ruins like vengeful spirits. The blaze sputtered, fought, then yielded, leaving behind a skeletal husk of twisted brass and ashen stone. The tower that emerged from the deluge was a ghost of its former glory. Charred timbers jutted like broken ribs from blackened walls, the once gleaming spire, now a jagged stump, pointing accusingly at the sky. Ash drifted through Ecruteak's lanes for weeks, coating rooftops and seeping into dreams. The three Pokémon's remains were never recovered, their essences lost to the inferno's maw, fueling whispers that the fire was no accident, that some ancient curse or forgotten rift had summoned it. That lingering guilt haunts Ecruteak even now, etched into the faces of its people like scars from the heat. They avoided the ruins for generations, letting vines creep over the debris and shadows pool in its hollows. Children were warned away with tales of restless ghosts, and the bell tower stood alone, a solitary sentinel bearing witness to the catastrophe. What force could unleash such precise devastation? Why did the legends abandon their perch in that moment of crisis? Yet amid the ashes and the silence, faint embers of something profound began to stir whispers of revival that would birth legends anew. In the next chapter, Resurrection and Flight, we'll uncover how those lost souls defied death itself, racing across Johto in a blaze of elemental fury that still echoes through the winds. Before we dive deeper into this incredible journey, I'm curious, where in the world are you watching this from? Drop a comment below and let our global community know. And if you're finding this as mind-blowing as I am, hit that like button to help more people discover this story. From the smouldering ruins of the brass tower, where the fire had raged unchecked for 3 full days, a hush fell over Ecruteak City, like the world itself held its breath. The air hung thick with ash, choking the sky in a veil of grey, and the once mighty structure stood as a blackened skeleton, its timbers charred to brittle husks. Those who gathered at the edges, trainers and townsfolk alike, whispered of omens, their faces streaked with soot, eyes wide with the weight of what they'd witnessed. But in that profound silence, something stirred amid the devastation, a radiant glow piercing the gloom. High above the ashes, wings unfurled like flames made eternal, Ho-Oh descended. The rainbow Pokémon, guardian of the pure-hearted, returned not in triumph, but in quiet sorrow. Its feathers shimmered with iridescent hues, casting fractured rainbows across the debris, yet its cry echoed hollow, a mournful trill that vibrated through the bones of every soul below. This was no joyous homecoming to the tower that had once been its perch alongside humanity's ambitions. Ho-Oh circled the wreckage slowly, eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light, as if surveying the cost of mortal folly. The people below froze, torn between awe and dread, for they knew the legends, Ho-Oh, the bringer of resurrection, who could grant life anew to those touched by tragedy. And then the miracle unfolded. From the heart of the ruins, where the fiercest heat had claimed 3 innocent Pokémon, nameless beasts trapped by the blaze, vitality surged forth. Ho-Oh's sacred ashes said to hold the essence of revival, swirled in a vortex of light and embers. The ground trembled faintly, cracks spider-webbing through the scorched earth, and one by one, the fallen rose transformed. First came Entei, the volcano Pokémon, its body a mantle of molten fur, eyes blazing with volcanic fury, roaring a challenge that shook the remaining walls. It embodied the unquenchable fire that had taken its former life, now a guardian of relentless passion and warmth. Beside it materialized Raikou, the thunder Pokémon, sleek and electric, sparks crackling along its striped hide like lightning frozen in fur. Its howl split the air, a thunderclap that made hearts stutter, channeling the storm that had sparked the inferno into boundless, untamed energy. And last, graceful amid the chaos, Suicune emerged, the Northwind Pokémon, crystalline streams of water trailing from its form, purifying the tainted air with each step. Its gaze held ancient wisdom, a serene counterpoint to its siblings' ferocity, drawing moisture from the very atmosphere to cleanse the scars of destruction. These were no longer ordinary creatures. Ho-Oh had reborn them as the legendary beasts, eternal wanderers bound to Johto's wilds, symbols of life's defiant return from death's embrace. The crowd's awe curdled into terror. Whispers turned to shouts as the reality sank in this Pokémon wielded power over life and death itself, mocking the boundaries humans clung to. Fear spread like the fire before it. What if this resurrection turned against them? What divine judgment had they invoked? Panic gripped the onlookers, and in their frenzy, they lashed out. Pokeballs flew, attacks unleashed, flamethrowers clashed with Entei's own blaze, thunderbolts met Raikou's storm, bursts of water contested Suicune's flow. The beasts, bewildered by the violence from those they might have protected, did not retaliate with full wrath. Instead, they scattered into the shadows of Ecruteak's fog-shrouded streets, vanishing into Johto's vast plains, mountains and rivers, forever roaming as elusive phantoms. Word of the beast's flight rippled outward, but the true abandonment cut deeper still. High in the companion bell tower, Lugia, the diving Pokémon and Ho-Oh's silver counterpart, had watched the horror unfold. Where Ho-Oh embodied resurrection and hope, Lugia commanded the seas and tempests, a being of profound isolation. The catastrophe shattered the fragile harmony between towers and trainers. Humans' betrayal of the revived beasts echoed too loudly. With a piercing cry that rattled the bells of the tower like mournful chimes, Lugia took to the skies one final time. It fled eastward, wings slicing through storm clouds, seeking refuge far from the tainted shores of Johto. Deeper it plunged, past the churning currents of the sea, into the labyrinthine depths of the Whirl Islands, those jagged, wave-battered spires rising from the ocean like forgotten teeth. There, amid perpetual gales and echoing roars of water against rock, Lugia vanished into isolation. The dive Pokémon made those dark caverns its eternal domain, emerging only in legends whispered by sailors who glimpsed its silhouette against moonlit waves. The towers, once twin beacons of divine partnership, stood forever divided. The brass tower a haunted shell, the bell tower a hollow echo, both abandoned by their guardians. Yet the ripples of that night extended further, into realms beyond Johto's borders, where other legends stirred in response to such upheaval. The distortion in the fabric of reality grew, drawing the attention of forces lurking in the shadows. In Chapter 12, The Banishment to the Distortion World, we'll uncover how this tragedy awakened a banished entity from the Turnback voids, pulling at the threads of existence itself. What horrors awaited as Giratina's influence began to seep through the cracks. From the smouldering ruins of Ecruteak's towers, where Ho-Oh breathed new life into the legendary beasts, our path now winds northward across vast seas and jagged mountains to the ancient heart of Sinnoh. Here, in a land shaped by colossal legends and whispering myths, lies Turnback Cave, a fog-shrouded labyrinth clinging to the eastern shores of Send-Off Spring, just beyond Veilstone City's watchful gaze. You've felt the pull of abandoned places before, but this one hums with a different dread, a place where reality frays at the edges and the air tastes of forgotten storms. Step with me into its maw. The entrance yawns like a wound in the earth, framed by twisted roots and moss-slick stones that seem to shift when you look away. Thick fog rolls in from the lake outside, choking the passages with a milky haze that swallows sound and sight alike. No torch pierces it fully. Shadows twist into impossible shapes, and the ground beneath your feet tilts unpredictably, as if the cave itself resents your intrusion. Local whispers call it the Turnback cave for a reason. Wander too deep, and you'll find yourself looping back to the start, no matter which path you choose. 4 pillars stand as silent sentinels in the gloom, their weathered surfaces etched with faint, spiraling runes that pulse faintly when lightning cracks overhead. Touch one in the wrong sequence, and the fog thickens, forcing retreat. Align them just so, and deeper chambers unfold, revealing the cave's true horror. This isn't mere geology gone wrong. Turnback Cave marks the fragile threshold to the distortion world, a realm of inverted gravity and shattered space where up becomes down and walls melt into voids. The cave's geometry collapses in on itself, passages that stretch endlessly one moment contract into suffocating squeezes the next, floors buckling like paper under an unseen weight. Echoes bounce wrong here, voices warping into guttural growls that aren't your own. It's as if the stone remembers a cataclysmic rupture, a tear between our world and something far more hostile. Sinnoh's elders speak of it in hushed tones around hearth fires, their tales passed down through generations like a curse. At the core of this myth lurks a Pokémon of unimaginable fury, banished long ago for its rampage of destruction. Picture it, a beast born from the sheer will of creation's rejected shadow, its form a grotesque dragon of rusted gold and blackened voids, wings like fractured mirrors that reflect nightmares back at you. It tore through the nascent world in a frenzy, shattering mountains and unraveling the fabric of reality itself, jealous of the harmony between Dialga's time and Palkia's space. The Sinnoh creation myth doesn't name it outright, but the signs are everywhere, its crimson eyes glaring from ancient petroglyphs, its screech etched into the cave's dripping walls. This was no guardian, it was chaos incarnate, driven into exile through Turnback Cave's unstable portals by forces we can scarcely comprehend. Giratina, they imply in shadowed scrolls, the renegade Pokémon, cast into the distortion world to gnaw on its own isolation for eternity. That banishment wasn't clean. Traces of its rage seep through still spatial warps that fling you sideways mid-stride, illusions of crumbling ledges that vanish underfoot, and a pervasive chill that seeps into your bones, whispering of endless falls through non-Euclidean abysses. The cave acts as a seal, its anomalous pillars channeling the distortion to keep the breach contained, but it's thinning. Fog-bound winds carry faint roars from beyond, and on stormy nights, the ground trembles, as if something massive presses against the veil. This ancient terror reshaped Sinnoh's earliest people in ways that echo through their culture even today. When the first humans arrived on these shores, fleeing southern wars or drawn by the region's primal energies, they encountered remnants of the destruction, craters like open wounds, forests twisted into spirals, rivers flowing backward. Weapons failed them, blades shattered on hides tougher than mithril, arrows dissolved in acidic maws. Overwhelmed by the wild fury of Pokémon Unbound, they turned instead to alliance. Bonds formed in desperation, a herder taming a Growlithe with shared warmth, a fisher coaxing a Buizel through offered fish, villages raising Bidoof dams to harness floods. No armies marched here, no forges rang with sword-making. Sinnoh's lore insists on harmony, on trainers as partners rather than conquerors, born from that primal fear. The Banished One's shadow loomed so large that even naming it invited calamity. Better to befriend the beasts at your side than awaken what lurks in the distortion, Deep in Turnback Cave, where the fog coils thickest, you'll find relics of those first settlers. Shattered spears half buried in silt. Altars to appeasement gods now overgrown with spectral ferns. They wove the myth into every ritual, teaching children to listen for the cave's groans as warnings from the other side. And it worked. For a time, the region flourished under pacts of mutual respect, legends like Dialga and Palkia holding the balance while the renegade raged alone. But the barrier weakens with every tremor, every misplaced pillar. What happens if the seal fully cracks? As we emerge from Turnback Cave's oppressive embrace, the fog lingers on our path toward another Sinnoh enigma shrouded in mist. Prepare yourself for Chapter 13, the memory thief of Fogbound Lake, where a guardian's gift turns into an inescapable curse that strips away who you are. Deep within Sinnoh's labyrinthine wilds, where the fog from Turnback Cave never truly lifts, lies a body of water so elusive it has been scrubbed from every modern map. Fogbound Lake drifts in secrecy, its shores veiled by an impenetrable mist that rolls in from the surrounding marshes like a living shroud. No compass needle holds true here, no pathfinder's tool can chart its depths, and those who stumble upon it do so only by the cruel whim of forgotten trails. Picture the scene as the first explorers might have, a glassy expanse mirroring the overcast sky, ringed by jagged reeds that whisper in the barest breeze. The air hangs heavy with damp chill, carrying the faint, metallic tang of ancient stone submerged just below the surface. Birds avoid this place, their calls echo from afar but fall silent at the water's edge. It's as if the lake demands utter stillness, a hush that presses upon your ears like an unspoken warning. Local Sinnoh legends speak of it in hushed tones, calling it the mirror of forgetfulness, a relic from an age when knowledge itself was both treasure and peril. Guarding this spectral domain is Uxie, the being of knowledge, one of Sinnoh's enigmatic lake guardians. Small in form yet vast in presence, Uxie floats silently above the waters, its golden body glowing faintly through the mist like a willow, the wisp. Eyes closed in eternal meditation, it embodies the purity of cognition, the spark that ignites memory, learning, and wisdom. But Uxie is no benevolent scholar. It is a sentinel, fiercely protective of the lake's arcane secrets, which pulse from hidden caverns beneath the surface. These waters cradle fragments of Sinnoh's primordial lore, echoes of creation myths, the psychic imprints of ancient minds, and knowledge so profound it could unravel the fabric of reality if mishandled. Venturing too close invites Uxie's wrath, not through fang or flame, but through a defense far more insidious. Intruders feel a sudden, icy pressure at the temples, as if their very thoughts are being unraveled thread by thread. Memories dissolve like mist in sunlight. First the recent ones, the path that led them here, then deeper layers, faces of loved ones, the warmth of home, the purpose of their journey. What remains is a hollow shell, wandering the marshes with vacant eyes, adrift in an endless now. No rage, no pursuit, just erasure, clean and absolute, ensuring the lake's location fades into oblivion. Tales from Sinnoh's outskirts abound with these silent tragedies. A team of cartographers in the 1800s, mapping the post-Iron Age frontiers, vanished into the fog one autumn dawn. Days later, they re-emerged on distant roads, clothes sodden, packs empty, unable to name their own hometowns or recall the taste of bread. Fishermen speak of a lone wanderer who haunts the bogs, murmuring fragments of half-lost songs, his journal reduced to blank pages smeared with water stains. Even Pokémon trainers, bold in their quests, report glitches in their Pokédex entries for Uxie flickering out, as if the device itself recoils from the encounter. This memory theft serves a greater purpose, woven into Sinnoh's mythic tapestry. Uxie, alongside its siblings Mesprit of Emotion at Lake Verity and Azelf of Willpower at Lake Valor, forms a trinity born from Arceus's gaze at creation's dawn. Together, they safeguard the balance of mind, heart, and resolve against those who would exploit it. Fogbound Lake, then, is no mere pond but a psychic vault, its mists amplified by Uxie's power to deter the unworthy. Dive too deep, and the water turns unnaturally still, reflecting not your face, but voids where recollections should be. Emerge, and you're reborn as a stranger to yourself, the lake's secrets intact. The tragedy deepens in the quiet aftermath. These amnesiac souls don't perish, they persist, ghosts in their own lives, piecing together existence from scraps. Villages near Lake Valor whisper of a woman who returned childless, insisting she had never borne one, though a cradle waited empty in her hearth. Explorers' guilds in Veilstone City keep ledgers of the fog-bound lost, tallying dozens over centuries, each entry ending in the same chilling note: no memory, no return. It's a defense born of necessity, but what good is knowledge if it falls to those who twist it into weapons or folly? Yet whispers persist among the bold. Some claim the lake holds maps to Sinnoh's lost epoch's blueprints of the spear pillar before its shattering, or the psychic codes that summoned Dialga and Palkia. Uxie allows glimpses to the pure of heart, a fleeting download of enlightenment before the wipe. But purity is rare, hubris abounds. Modern seekers, armed with technology, fare no better their devices fry in electromagnetic pulses, screens going black as Uxie stirs. As the mist thickens at dusk, the lake seems to breathe, its surface rippling with unseen currents. Shadows of massive forms glide beneath Uxie's kin, perhaps, or echoes of forgotten guardians. To linger is to risk everything you've ever known, traded for silence. Sinnoh's wilds hold many such voids, but none so personal, so intimately cruel. And if the fog's grasp feels suffocating, wait until we descend into the drowned palaces of Unova's fallen empire in Chapter 14, the sinking of Unova's empire, where entire civilizations vanished beneath relentless waves. As the mists of fog-bound lake fade into memory, our journey carries us eastward across vast oceans to the sun-scorched heart of Unova, where secrets don't dissolve in fog but crumble beneath endless dunes. Deep in the desert resort, along the parched stretch of Route 4, the relic castle sprawls like a forgotten skeleton half buried in sand. You step through its crumbling arches, and the world above vanishes. Towering pillars, once polished to gleam under a relentless sun, now lean precariously, their surfaces etched with faded murals of kings and dragons. Sand whispers through every corridor, a ceaseless tide that has invaded ballrooms, throne rooms, and treasure vaults alike. Your footsteps sink into drifts that rise to your knees, pulling at you like greedy fingers, as if the castle itself resents your intrusion. This wasn't always a tomb. Millennia ago, Unova's empire pulsed with life right here, in what was then a verdant kingdom at the region's core. Imagine markets buzzing under silk awnings, scholars debating in marble halls, and priests chanting to colossal statues of winged serpents. The air carried the scent of blooming oases and spiced feasts, not the dry grit that chokes you now. Their architects raised spires that pierced the clouds, channeling underground springs to sustain sprawling gardens amid what should have been barren waste. Relic Castle stood as their crown jewel, a labyrinth of chambers dedicated to the pursuit of ultimate truth and unyielding ideals, philosophies that defined their golden age. But prosperity bred ambition. At the empire's height, a single ruler ascended the throne, a king whose vision blurred the line between mortal will and divine power. He sought to harness the essence of creation itself, commanding his people to craft relics, golden crowns, silver swords, and stone tablets inscribed with runes that hummed with otherworldly energy. These weren't mere trinkets, they were keys to reshaping reality, forged in furnaces fueled by the land's hidden energies. The king's obsession drew the attention of a primordial force, the original dragon, a being of pure potential that slumbered beneath the castle's foundations. Whispers in the relics speak of the king's fateful pact. He dreamed of a world united under his truth, but his twin brother championed ideals of individual strength. Their rivalry fractured the dragon's form in a cataclysmic rift. From its body emerged two legendary counterparts, Reshiram, the blazing embodiment of truth, with flames that purified deception, and Zekrom, the thunderous champion of ideals, wielding bolts that shattered false unity. The remnants coalesced into Curem, a hollow shell of emptiness, exiled to the frozen north. The brothers' war raged, their dragons clashing in skies that split open with fire and lightning, scorching the earth below. The Empire paid the price. As Reshiram and Zekrom dueled, the ground trembled violently. Fissures snaked through the castle's bedrock, swallowing fountains and forges whole. Walls that had stood for centuries buckled, and the once vibrant heart of Unova convulsed. Screams echoed through the corridors as ceilings collapsed in cascades of stone, burying families in their homes. The king's throne room, adorned with dragon-scale mosaics, plunged into a chasm that yawned like a dragon's maw. Rivers diverted, oases dried overnight, and winds howled with unnatural fury, whipping sands into blinding storms. What followed was no gradual decline, but a sudden erasure. Within days, the desert claimed everything. Shifting dunes marched across the ruins, layer upon layer, until the Empire vanished entirely. No trace on maps, no songs from bards, just an expanse of gold where a civilization once thrived. Explorers today stumble upon the relic castle by chance, navigating trap-filled passages lined with the skeletons of those who fled too late. Bas-reliefs depict the dragon's awakening, their eyes seeming to glow faintly in torchlight, as if warning that the old hubris lingers. Deeper still, in the castle's lowest vaults, you find the true connection, dormant chambers where the dragon's essences once resonated. Stone altars bear claw marks from Zekrom's fury, and charred altars whisper of Reshiram's judgment. Curem's chill seeps from cracks, frosting the sand into brittle glass. The relics scattered here crowns that amplify willpower, swords that cleave illusions were meant to bind these dragons to human command. Instead, they amplified the catastrophe, their power rebounding to doom the kingdom. Wander the relic passage beneath Route 4, a network of tunnels linking the castle to forgotten outposts, and feel the weight of that lost world pressing down. Echoes of royal decrees bounce off walls slick with condensation from ancient aqueducts now clogged with debris. Sand sifts through hourglass traps, counting down to pitfalls that drop into abyssal voids. Every chamber reveals more of the Empire's folly. Libraries of scrolls reduced to ash, armories of weapons twisted by draconic heat, and nurseries where tiny bones mingle with petrified toys. The desert's embrace is total, relentless. What little remains pokes through like accusing fingers, half a minaret here, a frieze of the warring brothers there, before vanishing under the next storm. Nomads avoid the area, speaking of mirages that replay the collapse, phantom kings arguing atop spires, dragons roaring as the sands rise. The relic castle isn't just ruins, it's a monument to overreach, where truth and ideals tore a nation apart, leaving only whispers in the wind. And yet, the story doesn't end in these sun-bleached halls. Far beneath the waves off Undella Town lies another layer of Unova's buried past, the abyssal ruins, where the ocean guards secrets even the sands couldn't swallow. What horrors await in those drowned depths? Stay with me as we descend into Chapter 15, the abyssal ruins. Beneath the relentless sands of Relic Castle, where Unova's ancient empire crumbled into oblivion, the true remnants of that fallen glory wait not in the desert, but far below the surface of the sea. East of Undella Town, where the ocean currents whisper secrets of the deep, a hidden path opens for those bold enough to dive into the cold embrace of the underwater world. Here, the abyssal ruins emerge from the murk, a colossal structure swallowed whole by the waves, its stone walls etched with the desperation of a people who once commanded the land above. You descend through the dive, your breath held tight as the sunlight fades to an inky blue-black void. The water grows heavier with every fathom, pressing against your dive ball like an invisible hand squeezing the life from your lungs. This is no leisurely swim. The ruins demand speed, a frantic race against the crushing pressure that builds relentlessly. Linger too long in any chamber, and the ocean itself turns traitor, the weight of untold tons bearing down until stone and flesh alike groan under the strain. Explorers who tarry speak of a suffocating dread, walls closing in through the gloom, currents dragging them toward unseen chasms where light never reaches. The labyrinth unfolds in a maze of narrow corridors and flooded halls, each passage a gamble with time. Torches flicker weakly in your wake, casting elongated shadows that twist like forgotten spirits across barnacle-crusted floors. Pressure vents hiss from cracks in the ancient masonry, releasing bubbles that rise like the last breaths of the drowned. You navigate by instinct and fleeting glimpses of relief openings that promise air pockets or safer paths, but every turn tightens the noose. The ruins were built to confound, their architects weaving a puzzle of currents and dead ends, ensuring only the swift and worthy could pierce their heart. Fail, and the sea claims you, your form crushed into the sediment alongside the bones of those who came before. Deeper still, where the water turns to an impenetrable midnight, the walls reveal their silent testimony. Cryptic ciphers carve the stone in looping scripts, glowing faintly under the beam of your lantern. These are no mere decorations, they chronicle the reign of a forgotten king, a ruler whose ambition rivaled the gods themselves. His name lost to erosion, but his deeds endure. He who tamed the land's fury, forged alliances with beings of legend, and unearthed a power sealed away since the world's dawn. The glyphs speak of thrones carved from obsidian, feasts where legendary Pokémon bowed at his command, and a relic, a pulsing heart of energy that promised dominion over sea and sky alike. Piece by glyph, the story unravels. This king did not merely rule, he sought to bind the very essence of creation. The sealed power, described in hushed reverence, hummed with the force of creation's echo, a fragment of the original pulse that birthed Pokémon and man. Temples rose around it, guarded by riddles that tested the soul. Priests inscribed warnings of hubris, yet the king pressed on, his coffers overflowing with treasures plundered from the earth's veins. Whispers of betrayal flicker in the text, courtiers who envied his sight, rivals who plotted in shadowed alcoves. But the ciphers grow frantic here, lines jagged as if clawed in haste, and then the revelation chills the blood even through the insulating chill of the depths. This gleaming city, with its spires piercing the heavens and markets alive with the roar of trade, did not yield to earthquake or storm. No, it was drowned by design. The final inscriptions scream of a deliberate cataclysm. Channels opened under royal decree, tides summoned by forbidden rites, the ocean unleashed as a shroud. Why? To conceal the king's greatest sin, the awakening of that sealed power, which tore at the fabric of reality itself. Panic gripped the populace as waters rose in unnatural fury, streets flooding while screams echoed unanswered. The king, they say, vanished into the relic's glow, his final act a submergence to guard what he could not destroy. The ruins stand as his tomb and his vault, pressure and puzzle, ensuring the power sleeps eternal. Scholars pore over translations smuggled from diverse logs, debating if the relic pulses still, hidden in the central sanctum, beyond the labyrinth's grasp. Relics, unearthed crowns corroded by brine, scepters twisted by force hint at rituals cut short, altars stained with offerings never completed. The abyssal ruins breathe with malice, their timed trials are echo of that frantic evacuation, pressure a reminder of the flood's merciless grip. Unova's empire didn't just fall, it was erased, drowned to bury a truth too perilous for the surface world. As the currents pull you back toward the light, one cipher lingers in memory, half eroded but unmistakable, a prophecy of return. When the king rises from the depths to reclaim his throne, but that dread awaits another telling. Join me next for Chapter 16, The Tragedy of Geioenge Town, where an ancient weapon's shadow looms larger than any sunken ruin, promising horrors that make even the abyss seem merciful. As you finally surface from the suffocating grip of Unova's abyssal ruins, gasping for air after navigating that merciless, time-bound maze where every bubble could be your last, our path now veers westward across vast oceans to the elegant heart of the Kalos region. There, nestled amid rolling hills and blooming fields, lies Geioenge Town, a deceptively serene spot where cobblestone streets wind past quaint cafes and children chase after fletchling in the afternoon sun. But beneath this postcard perfection pulses a nightmare etched into the earth itself, a cataclysm so profound it reshaped an entire civilization 3,000 years ago. You arrive in Geioenge under a sky heavy with unspoken weight, the air carrying a faint metallic tang that no one mentions. The townsfolk go about their days with polite smiles, watering flowers and chatting about the latest gym battles, yet their eyes flicker toward the strange, jagged spires piercing the ground just beyond the town limits. These aren't mere rock formations, they're crystalline obelisks, translucent and veined with an inner glow that shifts like captured lightning. Touch one, and a chill races up your spine, as if the stone remembers the screams it silenced. This quiet corner of Kalos wasn't always paved over with modernity once. It was ground zero for the bloodiest conflict in Pokémon history, a war that devoured kingdoms and birthed a weapon of unimaginable horror. Picture the Kalos of 3,000 years past, not through faded sketches, but in the raw fury of clashing armies. Two mighty factions, locked in endless strife, turned their lands into charnel fields, where Petilil wilted in blood-soaked soil, and armies of Pokémon clashed in skies blackened by smoke. The war dragged on for centuries, brother against brother, region against region, until desperation forged a pact with forbidden power. A brilliant yet tormented king, driven mad by loss, commanded his scholars to craft the ultimate weapon, a colossal cannon buried deep beneath Geioenge, fueled not by gunpowder or steel, but by the very essence of life itself. They called it eternal energy, but you know better now. It was a harvest of souls. To power this behemoth, the king's forces rounded up the fallen soldiers, civilians, even wild Pokémon channeling their life force into its core through ancient rituals that twisted flesh into crystal. Thousands vanished in flashes of light, their bodies petrified mid-scream, erupting from the soil as those eerie spires you see today. Each one stands as a tombstone, a frozen monument to the sacrificed, humming with residual agony that makes compasses spin and shadows twist unnaturally at dusk. The weapon fired once, twice, obliterating enemy armies in waves of purifying light that left craters miles wide and skies raining ash for months. Victory came, but at what cost? The land scarred forever, the air thick with an unnatural charge that lingers like a curse. Walk the streets of modern Geioenge and you'll feel it, that subtle wrongness seeping through the cracks. Pokémon here grow restless at night, howling at crystals that pulse faintly under moonlight, drawing spectral shapes from the ether. Buildings lean ever so slightly away from the spires, as if repelled by invisible force, and old-timers whisper of headaches that strike without warning, visions of ancient battles flashing behind closed eyes. The ultimate weapon lies dormant below, its chamber a vault of petrified horror, where vines creep over machinery rusted by time, but the energy never fully dissipates. It's as if the town itself is a thin veil draped over a mass grave, where every step crunches over buried bones transmuted to quartz. Excavate the lore deeper, and you uncover fragments from AZ, the immortal king who survived it all, his grief fueling both the weapon and his endless wanderings. He roamed Kalos for 3 millennia, a ghost in his own kingdom, watching his creations fall out echo through generations. Those crystals aren't inert, they've warped the local ecosystem, birthing Pokémon with eerie traits Gardevoir that foresee doom. Lucario sensing auras twisted by mass death. The war's end didn't heal the wounds, it sealed them, paving paradise over perdition, where tourists snap photos of natural wonders, oblivious to the requiem humming beneath their feet. Yet even in this fragile peace, tremors occasionally ripple through Geioenge, faint quakes that make the spires glow brighter and unsettle the sleep of those who dwell too close. What happens if the ultimate weapon stirs again, its hunger reawakened by modern ambition? The scars run too deep for true forgetting, and as night falls over the town, you can't shake the sense that eyes crystalline, unblinking watch from the earth. Join me next in Chapter 17, The Lingering Fallout of Kalos, where we trace the weapon's poison through the veins of the region even today, unearthing consequences that threaten to crack the surface once more. But the cataclysm of that ultimate weapon didn't vanish with the war's end 3,000 years ago. Its poison seeped into the land itself, twisting Kalos's Route 10 into a scarred wasteland that trainers still tread with hushed caution today. North of Geioenge, where the earth once bloomed under ancient suns, now lies a fractured ribbon of terrain, pockmarked by craters that never healed. Jagged rocks jut like broken teeth from the soil, and the wind carries a perpetual whisper as if the ground mourns its own silence. Pokémon here move like shadows, Houndour packs skulking through the haze, their eyes glowing faintly against the perpetual twilight cast by overhanging cliffs. You can feel it as you step onto that path, a weight in the air, heavier than fog, pulling at your thoughts, urging you to turn back before the void claims you too. This isn't mere decay from time. The weapon's energy pulse ripped through the region's core, leaving behind pockets of lifeless stone where grass refuses to grow and rivers run dry into fissures. Explorers speak of sudden drops in temperature, chills that seep into your bones without a cloud in sight. It's as if the land remembers the screams of that final battle, when armies clashed and the sky split open. Route 10 stands as the first grim testament to survival's cost, a corridor of ruin where the war's echoes linger, testing every trainer who dares cross it. Venture too far without care, and the desolation plays tricks. Mirages of fallen warriors flicker at the edge of vision, gone when you blink. The Pokémon that endure here have adapted to this barren vigil, fierce guardians of secrets buried deep beneath the rubble. Yet amid this fallout, 500 years ago, a spark of that same forbidden ingenuity flickered back to life. In the shadowed workshops of Lumiose City, far from Route 10's wastes but drawing on their grim lessons, a brilliant artificer named James poured his genius into a creation born of remorse. Magiana, the artificial Pokémon, emerged not as a weapon, but as a poignant echo of Kalos's hubris. Forged from a core of celestial steel rumoured to be salvaged from the weapon's shattered remnants, her heart pulses with soul heart energy, a synthetic life force that mimics the legend's own power. Picture the scene, flickering lanterns in underground forges, the clang of hammers shaping her porcelain limbs, delicate gears whirring to life under James's trembling hands. He built her as atonement, a mechanical marvel to protect the innocent from the cycles of destruction that scarred his homeland. Magiana slumbered for centuries within a brass chamber, her golden flower crest dimmed, waiting for a hero pure of heart to awaken her. But her origins tie directly to Route 10's desolation. The very technological arrogance that birthed the ultimate weapon inspired her form. Artisans scavenged the route's irradiated relics, infusing them into her frame, hoping to redeem the past. When she stirs, Her cry resonates like a lament for the lost, a reminder that even in ruin, creation persists. Trainers who befriend her sense it, a quiet sorrow in her gaze, as if she carries the weight of Kalos's ghosts within her circuits. 500 years on, Magearna wanders those same ruined stretches, her presence a fragile light piercing the void, born from the ashes of ambition gone awry. Deeper into Kalos's heart, the fallout claims even grander casualties. Victory Road, the gauntlet every champion must conquer, hides corridors far darker than its puzzles suggest. Beyond the familiar boulders and warp panels lies a network of abandoned tunnels, choked with the rubble of ancient castles, long crumbled to dust. These weren't mere fortifications, they were bastions of the warring kingdoms, hewn into the mountainside during that 3,000-year cataclysm. Now, their halls stretch endlessly, lit only by the faint bioluminescence of Noibat colonies clinging to ceilings like living stalactites. The air grows thick with dust motes that dance in stray beams of light, and every step echoes unnaturally, swallowed by the immensity. Push through, and you'll find remnants that chill the soul. Toppled parapets etched with faded war glyphs, suits of armor rusted into eternal poses of defense, their visors staring blankly into nothingness. The void here is palpable, a profound emptiness where sound dies and time feels suspended. Ghosts of the devastating war seem to wander these depths. Spectral shapes flit in peripheral vision, whispers of ancient commands urging retreat. Modern trainers test their resolve against not just wild escadrille burrowing through weakened walls, but against the psychological toll of isolation. One wrong turn, and you're lost in labyrinthine passages where the walls weep mineral tears, stained by millennia of erosion. Victory Road demands more than strength. It exacts a toll on the spirit, mirroring the land's unhealed wounds. This void emptiness binds Route 10 and Victory Road into a singular scar on Kalos's face. No birdsong pierces the silence, no vibrant flora reclaims the stone, only hardy survivors like geodude clusters and the occasional wandering Magearna evoke life. The ghosts aren't mere fancy, they're the residue of a war that weaponized legendaries, leaving psychic imprints that unsettle the mind. Trainers report nightmares after camping nearby, visions of glowing orbs raining from the sky, the ultimate weapon's final discharge petrifying armies in place. It's a place where history doesn't rest, where the fallout lingers like a curse, whispering of hubris's price to all who listen. As we trace these haunted paths, the story pulls us towards sun-kissed shores far from Kalos's chill, where ancient altars stand as silent witnesses to battles between light and shadow. Chapter 18, The Alolan Altars of Sun and Moon, awaits promising revelations of divine clashes that could eclipse even Kalos's shadows. From the shadowed remnants of Kalos's Route 10, where Magearna's artificial heart pulsed 500 years ago amid the fallout of ultimate hubris, our whispers now carry us across vast oceans to the emerald paradise of Alola. High on the knife-edge cliffs of Pony Island, where the trade winds howl through forgotten overgrowth, lies the ancient Pony Path, a labyrinth of colossal stone slabs, half swallowed by jungle vines and time's relentless creep. You tread these paths today, and the air thickens with humidity, alive with the distant calls of tropical birds and the rustle of palm fronds. But push higher, and the world falls silent. The path snakes upward, its massive hexagonal pillars thrusting from the earth like the vertebrae of some primordial beast, etched with faded carvings that gleam faintly under fleeting sunlight. Moss clings to every crevice, and roots from ancient banyans pry apart the stones, as if nature itself conspires to reclaim what humanity dared to build. These aren't mere trails carved for travelers. No, the ancient pony path was forged millennia ago by Alola's earliest islanders, their hands guided by starlit visions and whispers from the sky. It culminates at two solitary altars, perched on the world's edge, the altar of the Sunne and the altar of the moon, twin sanctuaries of reverence, constructed from polished obsidian and coral white marble, their surfaces inlaid with luminous crystals that once caught the light of otherworldly dawn and dusk. Imagine the rituals that unfolded here, the kahunas and their people ascending in processions, bearing offerings of sun-ripened berries and moon-kissed shells. These altars weren't built to honor the Pokémon you know from Alola's bustling shores, those playful Pikipek or graceful Lurantis. They rose to venerate celestial emissaries, beings who pierced the veil between dimensions, descending from rifts in the heavens themselves. The islanders called them Sun and Moon, radiant guardians said to embody the sun's ferocity and the moon's enigma, their forms both majestic and alien, with manes of plasma and eyes like fractured stars. Archaeologists who've braved the path speak of the construction's impossible precision. Massive stones quarried from distant volcanic craters were hauled skyward without modern tools, perhaps levitated by the very powers they sought to appease. Petroglyphs encircling the altars depict these visitors, arriving in bursts of ethereal light, their silhouettes merging with solar flares and lunar halos. The people prostrated themselves, etching prayers into the rock, believing these entities brought prosperity, guiding the islands through storms and famines. Yet for all Alola's vibrant pulse, the festivals of malasadas and hula dances under perpetual summer skies, these high-altitude ruins stand in profound, unnatural quiet. No laughter echoes here, no market chatter. The wind alone converses, whistling through hollowed arches like the sighs of long-departed priests. You feel it in your bones. This isolation isn't accidental. The altars were placed atop Pony's highest spires deliberately, far from the thatched villages below, as if to shield the lowlands from what those celestial gates might unleash. Scramble closer to the altar's bases, and you'll uncover the truth etched in crumbling tablets, half buried under fern-choked soil. Ancient texts, scripted in a dialect predating even the Aether Foundation's archives, warn of the rift's true peril. Those otherworldly visitors weren't benevolent gods without flaw. They heralded hordes, ferocious entities known as ultra beasts, spilling through dimensional tears like a plague from the void. These inscriptions paint them vividly. Buzzwole, its swollen muscles rippling with grotesque power, muscles hypertrophied beyond reason, rampaging through orchards and shattering canoes. Pheromosa, a spectral assassin with blades for limbs, vanishing into mists before striking unseen. Kartana, origami thin and razor-edged, slicing boulders as if they were paper lanterns. The texts tremble with dread. These beasts weren't summoned. They poured forth uncontrollably, their instincts alien to Alola's harmony, devouring habitats and twisting the very fabric of reality. The islanders' reverence soured into terror. Priests sealed the altars with trials of light and shadow, puzzles mirroring the unown's enigmas from distant lands, demanding purity of heart to even approach the summoning stones. But the damage lingered in folklore. The kahuna's chants still invoke wards against the hungry stars, and elders speak in hushed tones of shadows that flicker unnaturally on moonless nights. Today, trainers like you might climb the path for glory, placing the sun flute or moon flute upon the altars to call forth Solgaleo or Lunala, those evolved echoes of Sunna and Moon. But linger too long, and the silence presses in, broken only by the distant crash of waves far below. You sense the rift's faint hum, a vibration underfoot that hints at instability, as if the beast's echoes still strain against their bonds. What drove the islanders to court such chaos? Why risk everything for glimpses of the infinite? The answers lie buried in a cataclysm that pitted paradise against its own protectors, a clash immortalized in Alola's deepest myths. That story, the War of the Guardian Deities, awaits us next. But those celestial visitors from beyond the stars didn't always arrive as honored guests. 500 years ago, they descended upon Alola, not with gentle light, but with blinding fury, igniting a cataclysmic war that scarred the islands forever. Rewind the sands of time back to that fateful era, when the archipelago's guardian deities, the majestic Tapus, stood as unbreakable sentinels over their sacred domains. Tapu Koko, the electrified protector of Melemele, crackled with storm-born rage from the cliffs. Tapu Lele, healer of Akala's vibrant wilds, danced through psychic tempests on wings of iridescent fury. Tapu Bulu, the grass-wreathed behemoth of Ula Ula, charged with earth-shattering might from tangled jungles. And Tapu Fini, serene yet savage mistress of Pony's waters, summoned tidal tempests from mist-shrouded shores. These four were Alola's eternal wards, bound to nurture and defend the life teeming across the islands. Then came the invaders, Solgaleo, the blazing sun beast, a radiant colossus forged from cosmic steel, roaring with solar flares that scorched the skies. Lunala, the ethereal moon moth, a spectral giant weaving shadows into razor-sharp voids, eclipsing the night with otherworldly hunger. These legendaries weren't mere travelers, they were conquerors from ultra-space, drawn by Alola's primal energies, seeking to claim the islands as their own eternal hunting grounds. The Tapus sensed the threat instantly. The air hummed with impending doom, the ground quivered under the weight of divine footsteps. The war erupted without mercy. On Melemele, Tapu Lele clashed first against Lunala's enveloping darkness. Imagine the psychic pulses slamming into lunar wings, shattering coral spires and vaporizing ancient groves in bursts of violet light. Lele's healing mists turned to venomous gales, but Lunala's shadow claws rent the earth, carving deep fissures that swallowed villages whole. The battle raged for days, the island's life force draining as flora withered and seas boiled, leaving behind what would become the ruins of life, a hollowed cradle of stone altars now choked with thorny overgrowth, where faint psychic echoes still whisper warnings to foolish explorers. Akala fared no better. Tapu Koko hurled thunderbolts at Solgaleo's molten hide, the skies fracturing into lightning webs that ignited volcanoes long dormant. Solgaleo's radiant beams pierced the storm clouds, melting rock into rivers of slag, while Koko's electric barriers held just long enough to buy precious time. The clash pulverized sacred plazas into rubble-strewn craters, birthing the ruins of conflict. Today, those jagged remnants loom amid Akala's humid trails, their cracked walls humming with residual sparks step too close, and wild Pokémon swarm in territorial frenzy. Guardians of a grudge that never faded. Ula Ula's jungles became a graveyard of uprooted titans as Tapu Bulu rammed Solgaleo with horn charges, grass barriers erupting into thorned fortresses that ensnared the sun beast's paws. But Solgaleo's flares consumed the canopy, turning lush abundance to ash-choked wastes. Bulu's bellows shook mountainsides, landslides burying armies of fleeing Cantonian migrants who'd sought refuge there. From this annihilation rose the ruins of abundance, skeletal arches draped in parasitic vines. Their interiors, a maze of collapsed chambers where the air hangs thick with spore-laced decay, inhale too deeply, and visions of flaming skies haunt your fever dreams. Pony's cataclysm sealed the war's horror. Tapu Fini unleashed cascading waterfalls against Lunala's nocturnal onslaught, mist veils clashing with void tendrils in a symphony of crashing waves and shrieking winds. The moon legendary's wings blotted out stars, summoning abyssal rifts that drained lagoons dry, while Finu's watery blasts eroded cliffs into sheer drops. The island's hopeful heart was gouged open, yielding the ruins of hope, fog-enshrouded relics perched on precarious bluffs, their flooded basins teeming with unseen predators. Venture inside at dusk, and the mist thickens unnaturally, disorienting you amid slippery stones that have claimed countless climbers. The battles didn't end in clear victory. Exhaustion forced a tenuous truce. Solgaleo and Lunala retreated to ultraspace, their forms dimmed, but Alola lay ravaged, lands barren, waters poisoned, skies forever tinged with ethereal scars. The Tapus, battered but unbowed, withdrew to lick their wounds, leaving humanity to rebuild amid the debris. Those four ruins stand as eternal monuments to divine hubris, no longer vibrant shrines but forsaken labyrinths pulsing with latent power. Vines strangle their arches, feral Pokémon claim shadowed corners, and anomalous energies warp reality. Unown glyphs flicker unbidden, spectral winds carry godly roars. They're not just abandoned, they're cursed memorials, where the veil between worlds thins, daring the bold to unearth relics that could reignite the ancient rage. Yet Alola's shadowed history runs deeper still. In the same era of divine strife, another confinement gripped the island's underbelly, one that bound a malice far subtler than clashing titans. Tune in next for Chapter 20, the Keystone Confinement, where a single stone sealed away a vengeful spirit whose whispers still echo through forgotten fissures. I hope you're as amazed by this as I am. If you want to stay updated on more content like this, make sure to subscribe and join our community of curious minds. Trust me, what's coming next will challenge everything you thought you knew. As the dust settled from those ferocious clashes in Alola, where the Tapus clashed with Solgaleo and Lunala to safeguard their islands, another shadow stirred half a millennium ago. Far across the ocean in the rugged wilds of Sinnoh, not a war of gods, but a punishment so intimate and cruel, it echoes through the stone itself, a binding that turned 108 restless souls into a single eternal prisoner. Deep in the misty reaches near Veilstone City lies a forgotten scar on the land, a narrow fissure known only in whispers as the site where the odd keystone was hurled. This wasn't some grand temple or towering ruin, no sprawling complex abandoned to the vines. It was a jagged crack in the earth, raw and unforgiving, the kind of place where the wind howls like trapped screams and the ground swallows secrets whole. 500 years back, when Sinnoh's elders still held sway over spirits that wouldn't stay buried, they gathered here under a moonless sky, their faces grim with the weight of judgment. Picture the air thick with incense and incantations, the fissure yawning like a mouth hungry for atonement. 108 wicked spirits, thieves who stole breaths in the night, liars who twisted fates, murderers whose grudges poisoned the rivers. They'd plagued the villages for generations, a horde of malice too slippery for any cage of iron or wood. United in their depravity, these souls refused to part, feeding off each other's rage until no single exorcism could touch them. The elders, drawing on ancient rites from scrolls yellowed by time, devised something far worse than death: fusion. They channeled their power into a strange keystone artifact, its surface etched with forbidden runes that pulsed like a heartbeat. One by one, the spirits were dragged kicking and wailing into that stone, their essences twisted together into a writhing mass. No longer individuals, but a singular abomination, spiritum. The binding wasn't gentle. You can almost hear it in the lore, the way those spirits clawed at the edges of their new prison, their voices merging into a cacophony that rattled the fissure walls. The odd keystone, now heavy with their collective fury, was cast down into the depths, the earth sealing over it like a grave marker no one would mourn. Meant to be lost forever, buried under layers of sediment and forgotten by the turning seasons, it waited in absolute isolation. No light pierced that void, no sound but the endless murmur of their imprisoned hatred echoing off unyielding rock. Half a millennium of darkness, 500 years of stone pressing in from all sides, claustrophobic and unyielding. Imagine the horror of it. Those 108 consciousnesses squeezed into a space no bigger than your fist, their forms overlapping in eternal agony. Time stretches into torment there, days bleed into decades, centuries crawl by in suffocating stillness. They rage against their bonds, but the Keystone holds firm, its magic a vice that crushes any spark of escape. Whispers say they sense the world above the patter of rain on the surface, the footsteps of wanderers, oblivious to the malice beneath, but they can't reach it. Not until a foolhardy traveller stumbles upon the site, drawn by some inexplicable pull, and disturbs the seal. In Sinnoh's myths, that fissure became a place of pilgrimage for the desperate and the damned. Elders warned children to steer clear, tales spreading of ghostly winds that carried fragments of those spirits' laments, chilling the blood of anyone who lingered too long. The odd Keystone, if unearthed, demands tribute, a link to the living world, a Pokemon's soul offered up to glimpse its forbidden knowledge. But disturb it carelessly, and those 108 vengeful essences stir, seeking release through you. Spiritomb emerges not as a Pokemon to be caught, but a curse half awakened, its single eye glowing with the accumulated spite of centuries. That isolation amplified their torment, turning petty sins into an undying symphony of suffering. Each spirit, once free to haunt its own corner of the world, now drowns in the other's memories, the thief reliving the murderer's kills, the liar choking on the arsonist's flames. The fissure, with its sheer walls slick with moisture and moss, ensured no accidental discovery. It was a deliberate exile, the Earth's own oubliette. Rain funnels down into it even now, pooling at the bottom where the Keystone supposedly rests, mixing with the mineral seep to form a broth of slow corrosion that teases but never frees. Travelers who find it speak of an unnatural chill rising from the ground, a pressure in the chest, like the air itself is conspiring to hold you down. The lore insists the spirits watch, patient as stone, for that one moment when curiosity cracks their prison wide. 500 years they've endured, their hatred fermenting into something potent, a psychic force that warps reality around it. In the games, you feel it, the odd Keystone's eerie hum when you offer your links, the sudden manifestation of Spiritomb as if summoned from nightmare. This wasn't justice served in the light of day, it was retribution buried deep, a localized tragedy that scarred the land more than any battle. The elders who performed the rite vanished soon after, their own spirits rumored to have been claimed in retaliation, leaving the fissure as a silent testament to hubris. And yet, it endures, that claustrophobic tomb pulsing with life unlived, waiting for the next soul bold enough or foolish enough to set it free. But the echoes of ruin don't end in Sinnoh's depths. Our journey pulls us next to Paldea's treasures of ruin, and where ancient towers hide legendaries born from Calamity itself. What secrets do those crumbling forts guard after eons of neglect? From the shadowed fissures of ancient punishments, where 108 spirits were forever chained together 500 years ago. Our path now leads across vast oceans to the sun-baked expanses of Paldea. Here, in this land of jagged peaks and whispering winds, 4 sacred relics arrived from a distant, forgotten realm, carried by explorers whose ambitions would twist destiny itself. These weren't mere trinkets, but treasures revered in their homeland, a rugged stone tablet etched with forgotten scripts, a gleaming sword of unparalleled sharpness, a majestic vessel said to hold the Earth's own vitality, and a string of fiery beads pulsing with inner fire. Legends whisper they were gifts from the divine, symbols of prosperity and power, brought to Paldea by seafaring traders who dreamed of forging unbreakable alliances between worlds. But human hearts, harbor shadows deeper than any cave. Greed seeped into those who coveted the artifact's glow. Kings and warlords, blinded by visions of endless dominion, sought to bend them to their will. They paraded the tablet through grand ceremonies, demanding it reveal secrets of conquest rather than wisdom. They swung the sword in brutal campaigns, staining its blade not with honorable foes, but with the blood of innocence for petty grudges. The vessel, once a font of bountiful harvests, was filled with offerings of malice, poisoned libations, poured by those who wished rivals' lands to wither. And the beads, symbols of communal strength, were torn apart and hoarded by selfish tyrants, their flames stoked with envy until they roared like infernos. What began as subtle corruption grew into a cataclysm. The treasures, infused with the raw malice of their handlers, awoke with vengeful fury. The stone tablet shattered its pedestal, morphing into Wochien, a serpentine horror that slithered through farmlands, crumbling soil to dust and burying villages under landslides of regret. Chien Pao, the sword reborn as a spectral saber cat, prowled the nights, its icy slashes freezing armies mid-charge, turning battlefields into tombless graves. Ting Lu, the vessel transformed into a colossal moose of earth and might, stampeded across the empire, its every hoofbeat summoning quakes that swallowed palaces whole. And Chiyu, the beads coalesced into a blazing fish of wrath, darted through the skies, igniting forests and cities in a blaze that no rain could quench. Paldea's ancient empire, once a jewel of towering citadels and thriving academies, crumbled under this onslaught. Emperors who had feasted on excess watched their thrones pulverized. Scholars' libraries, filled with scrolls of glory, were reduced to ash drifting on poisoned winds. The people fled in terror, their cries echoing through canyons as the treasures of ruin rampaged unchecked, a symphony of destruction born from humanity's own poison. For years, the land-bled rivers ran black with silt, skies choked with smoke, and the earth groaned as if mourning its betrayal. Yet even gods of ruin can be tamed, if the price is steep enough. Paldean heroes, descendants of those same greedy lines, rallied with forbidden rites and unbreakable wills. They lured the beasts into treacherous depths, binding Wochien beneath prayer tablets heavy as mountains, sealing Chien Pao within shards of eternal frost, confining Tinglu to a cauldron of molten chains, and dousing Chiyu's flames in a vessel of sacred waters. Exhausted and scarred, these champions collapsed, their victory a hollow echo amid the ruins. Today, those bindings endure in the most forsaken corners of Paldea, massive vaults of iron and stone, wrapped in chains thicker than ancient oaks, hidden deep within caves, long sealed by rock slides and time. Venture too close, and an unnatural dread seeps from the cracks, a palpable chill that wilts flowers, scatters herds of grazing Pokémon, and sends even the boldest Tauros bolting into the distance. Local wilds avoid these places instinctively, as if the air itself whispers warnings of the malice still simmering within. No vine dares creep over the entrances, no winggull nests on the ledges. It's a silence heavier than stone, broken only by the faint, rhythmic clink of chains, straining against immortal fury. These treasures of ruin remind us that some powers, once corrupted, never fully sleep, they merely wait. Their aura an eternal sentinel against the greed that birthed them. And scattered across Paldea's wilds stand the crumbling silhouettes of Gimmighoul towers, those eerie spires whispering even darker secrets of hoarded gold and ghostly guardians, drawing us deeper into the shadows next. Those treasures of ruin weren't the only remnants of Paldea's fall from grace. Their curse pulsed through the land like a hidden vein of gold, drawing forth something far more insidious from the shadows of neglect. Scattered across the region's jagged cliffs and windswept plains rise the Gimmighoul towers, but crumbling watchtowers that once pierced the sky as vigilant guardians of an empire drunk on its own riches. These isolated spires, eroded by centuries of relentless coastal gales, stand as lonely relics of a time when Paldea's rulers built not for defense, but for dominion over the wealth they hoarded. Picture the original architects, their hands stained with mortar and ambition, stacking stone upon stone to overlook trade routes brimming with caravans heavy with coin. From these heights, sentries scanned horizons for rivals, their eyes gleaming with the promise of tribute. Yet today, vines choke the battlements, and fissures snake through walls that lean perilously toward the sea, whispering of foundations rushed in the fever of expansion. At the heart of this decay lurks Gimmighoul, those spectral wanderers born from the Empire's undying avarice. Not ghosts in the traditional sense, but manifestations of greed itself. Their forms shift like coins tumbling in the wind, sometimes chest-bound mimics guarding hordes in the tower's depths, other times roaming as golden-robed figures, eyes hollow with eternal want. They emerged in the Empire's twilight, when coffers overflowed but trust eroded faster than the stone. Legends speak of merchants and nobles who perished clutching their fortunes, their souls refusing to part with the shine, twisting into these coin-craving entities. Gimmighoul don't attack outright. They lure, they tempt, scattering glinting bait across paths to draw the unwary into their lairs, where the air grows thick with the metallic tang of buried treasure and unspoken regret. Take the leaking tower, one of the most precarious among them, perched on Paldea's eastern fringes, where the ocean gnaws at its base. Water seeps eternally through its porous facade, dripping from ceilings like the slow bleed of a fortune squandered. Built atop a natural spring, perhaps overlooked in the haste to claim the high ground, the tower's architects chose opulence over engineering. Marble floors, inlaid with gold filigree, now lie slick and shattered, while arched windows frame views of waves that have claimed entire bays. Explorers report hearing echoes of clinking metal within, not from leaks, but from Gimmighoul shuffling their endless piles, stacking and restacking as if to rebuild what time has stolen. This structural frailty mirrors the Empire's own. Walls raised too quickly, supports hollowed by graft, until the first tremors of descent brought it all crashing inward. Venture further inland, and the pattern repeats in the ruined forts that dot the landscape like forgotten teeth. These squat outposts, kin to the towers, bristle with the debris of collapse overturned braziers, rusted gates ajar, and everywhere, those telltale coins glinting in the dust. Gimmighoul infest them too, their presence a spectral audit of the Empire's downfall. Each scattered doubloon tells a story of betrayal, payments to mercenaries who turned coat, bribes that bought silence until the screams began, tithes funneled into private vaults while the commons starved. The creatures embody that rot, hoarding not for survival, but for the thrill of possession, their roars a guttural reminder that wealth unshared devours its keeper. This web of towers and forts connects directly to the greed that birthed the treasures of ruin. As the artifacts darkened under human malice, so did the land respond, exhaling Gimmighoul from the cracks in society. The Empire prioritized glittering vaults over sturdy bridges, lavish feasts over fortified walls, until avarice hollowed it from within. Civil unrest simmered as nobles tallied their gains atop these very spires, blind to the mobs gathering below. When the fall came riots, invasions, or perhaps a curse unbound, the towers stood empty, their sentries fled or slain, leaving only the wind to howl through halls that once echoed with the clash of coin. Wander too close today, and the air thickens with unease. Footsteps crunch on ancient mosaic floors depicting overflowing treasuries, now cracked and weed-choked. Gimmighoul's eyes glow from alcoves, appraising you as just another mark, their chests heaving with the weight of phantom riches. Evolve one by gathering its coin hoard, and it becomes Goldengo, a golden behemoth armoured in avarice, made manifest, but even then, the hunger persists. A legacy that no battle can sate. These sights pull you deeper into Paldea's shadowed underbelly, where every loose stone hides a moral. The Empire didn't crumble under siege, it dissolved in the acid of its own desires, leaving Gimmighoul to eternally collect the scraps. As the sun dips behind the tower's jagged silhouettes, casting long shadows that merge with the dusk, you can't shake the sense that the greed lingers still, waiting for the next fool to claim a find. And that pull toward the Forsaken grows stronger still when we turn to chapter 23, the fog-shrouded ruins of Galar, where mist-veiled paths conceal secrets that could swallow you whole before you even glimpse their truth. From the crumbling watchtowers of Paldea, where Gimmighoul still clings to the shadows of a greed-ravaged empire, our path veers northward across churning seas to Galar, a land where the wild winds carve secrets into the stone, and ruins stand as silent sentinels against an encroaching fog. Deep in the heart of Galar's vast wild area, the Watchtower ruins rise like jagged teeth from the earth, battered relentlessly by gales that howl through the open moorlands. These ancient structures, half swallowed by overgrown brambles and slick with perpetual mist, were once proud fortifications, their walls etched with faded carvings of armoured figures locked in eternal vigil. You can almost hear the creak of rusted gates swinging in the wind, as if the tower itself breathes with the laboured rhythm of some long-forgotten watchman. Rain lashes the cracked flagstones year-round, pooling in basins where wild Pokémon now shelter, their eyes glowing faintly in the gloom. No villagers dare linger here. The air hangs heavy with an unnatural chill, as though the stones remember a siege that never truly ended. Wander closer, and the oppression thickens. The ruins sprawl across a desolate plateau, their multiple levels connected by crumbling stairwells that vanish into voids of shadow. Legends whisper that these towers guarded against something vast and primordial, a threat from the skies or depths that forced humanity to huddle behind these walls. Moss clings to every surface, turning the grey stone black, while thorny vines twist through arrow slits like veins pulsing with malice. Step inside, and the wind dies abruptly, replaced by an echoing drip that seems to count down to some inevitable doom. These aren't mere relics, they're wounds in the landscape, festering under Galar's stormy skies. Just beyond the wild area's fringes lies Stow-on-Side, a town frozen in eerie abandonment, its cobblestone streets cracked and weed-choked, buildings sagging under the weight of centuries. Once a bustling hub carved into sheer cliffs, it now stands deserted, save for the occasional scavenger Pokémon rooting through collapsed homes. The air here tastes of damp earth and decay, and a perpetual haze clings to the valley, muting colours to shades of slate and rust. Gym leaders once trained in these parts, but even they avoid the deepest hollows after dusk, speaking in hushed tones of footsteps that follow without a source. Peel back the crumbling plaster from Stow-on-Side's ancient walls, and murals emerge, vast, haunting frescoes depicting not glory, but apocalypse. Figures in archaic armour clash against colossal shadows, skies fracturing with crimson energy, while rivers of darkness swallow entire cities. These paintings, preserved under layers of neglect, reveal the truth of Galar's darkest hour, a cataclysm where endless night fell, and monstrous energies warped the land itself. The artists captured the horror in meticulous detail, the terror in human eyes, the buckling earth, beasts rising from fissures. Hidden for generations, these apocalyptic visions suggest Stow-on-Side wasn't just abandoned, it was forsaken, its people fleeing revelations too dire to face. Touch the flaking pigments, and you swear they warm under your fingers, as if the scenes pulse with trapped life. Yet the true dread gathers at the edge of Route 6, where the slumbering Weald unfurls a forest of colossal trees draped in impenetrable fog. So thick it devours light and sound alike. This isn't mere weather. The Weald's mists move with intent, coiling around intruders like living tendrils, twisting paths into labyrinths that loop endlessly. Travellers report compasses spinning wildly, voices echoing from impossible directions, a profound disorientation that strips away sense of self. Pokémon native to the woods grow unnaturally large here, their cries muffled into guttural warnings, while the ground underfoot yields softly as if the roots resent your weight. The forest rejects humanity outright, no fire holds, no trail endures, and those who press too deep emerge changed, their memories frayed at the edges. At the wield's core lies the stone circle, a ring of weathered monoliths encrusted with glowing runes, where the fog thickens to opacity. Legends say this glade slumbers under a curse, actively repelling all but the worthy, its vapours carrying whispers of ancient regrets. Birds wheel overhead but never descend, and the wind carries a faint, metallic tang, like blood long dried. Venture here at twilight, and shapes flicker in the haze, elusive figures that vanish when approached, leaving only the chill of their passing. This rejection ties to Galar's deepest myth, the tale of two fallen heroes, Sword-bearer and Shield-maiden, who stood against oblivion itself. In the hour of the darkest day, when a fallen star cracked the heavens and unleashed titanic energies, these warriors wielded relics of legend, a gleaming blade, and an unbreakable shield to stem the tide. They drove back the encroaching void, their Pokémon transformed into eternal guardians, but victory came at a cost. Wounded beyond healing, the heroes retreated into the slumbering weald, vanishing into its fog-shrouded embrace, never to return. What they left behind scatters the ruins. Rusted fragments of armour, half buried in the wield's loam, a shattered helm, overgrown with ferns. Blades dulled to nubs protruding from tree trunks like forgotten grave markers. These relics speak of a war forgotten by time, a conflict where gods clashed and mortals paid the price. Fishermen along Route 9 dredge up similar artifacts from the mist-veiled waters, pauldrons etched with heroic crests, now pitted and cold. The heroes' retreat sealed the wield's curse, binding the forest to protect their slumber, ensuring no one disturbs the fragile peace they bought with their lives. Even now, the fog guards their secret, whirling fiercer when Dynamax energies stir nearby, as if the land remembers the star's wrath. Galar's people honour the duo in songs sung by firesides, but none dare seek them out, the Weald ensures that. These ruins, from weathered watchtowers to plaster-veiled murals, form a tapestry of loss, where every stone and shadow hints at battles that reshaped the world. And as the mists of the slumbering Weald begin to thin in our telling, they part just enough to reveal the snow-swept expanses of the Crown Tundra, where Chapter 24, the Crown Tundra's forgotten dead, unearths graves long buried under ice, whispering of spectral wanderers who refuse to stay in the earth. As the crumbling murals of Stowe on Side fade into memory, our path through Galar's shadowed corners leads us northward, beyond the wild area's restless winds, into the merciless grip of the Crown Tundra. Here, in this vast expanse of perpetual frost, lies a place even the boldest explorers whisper about with unease, the old cemetery, tucked away in the heart of the giant's bed. Picture the journey itself. You trek across sheets of ice that crack like brittle bones underfoot, your breath forming ghostly clouds that linger too long in the still air. The Crown Tundra doesn't welcome intruders, it tests them. Blizzards whip up without warning, burying landmarks in white oblivion, while distant roars from slumbering titans echo through the valleys. Yet, pressing on, you reach the giant's bed, a colossal depression in the earth named for the legendary Regigigas, whose massive form once shaped these lands. But it's not the giant's shadow that chills you deepest. Scattered across this frozen cradle, half buried in snowdrifts, rise hundreds of weathered tombstones, their surfaces etched smooth by centuries of gales, dot inscriptions long since worn to illegible smears. These aren't the tidy graves of modern Galar, marked with fresh flowers and family names. No, these markers jut crookedly from the permafrost, tilted at odd angles, as if the dead themselves shifted in restless sleep. Icicles hang from their edges like frozen tears, and in the dim twilight that passes for day here, they cast elongated shadows that twist into grasping shapes. The air hangs heavy with silence, broken only by the faint creak of expanding ice or the distant cry of a cryogonal drifting like a lost soul. You feel it immediately, the weight of forgotten lives pressing down, a cemetery vast enough to hold an entire people. yet absent from every history book, every bard's tale in Wyndon or Hammerlock. Who were they? This burial ground dwarfs anything in contemporary Galar, stretching across what must have been acres of solemn ground. Tombs cluster in uneven rows, some topped with what might have been statues, now reduced to faceless stumps. No flags mark noble houses, no relics of legendary trainers. Just endless anonymity under the tundra's unyielding cold. Modern Galarians pass by without a second glance, their Dynamax battles raging elsewhere, oblivious to the scale of loss etched into this icy soil. An entire civilization, prosperous enough to command such a sprawling necropolis, vanished so thoroughly that their names dissolved like mist in the morning freeze. Delve deeper, and the unease sharpens. This isn't mere abandonment, it's erasure. Legends hint at a time before the darkest day, when Galar's crown was worn by figures tied to nature's ancient rhythms, kings and queens who communed with forces now mythologized as Calyrex, the verdant ruler of these frozen realms. But post-story secrets, unlocked only after the tundra's legends are tamed, reveal rituals tied to this very graveyard. Venture here after the credits roll, and you'll find patches of barren soil amid the stones, spots where something vital was uprooted long ago. It's here that the lore turns spectral. Plant carrot seeds, humble offerings grown from the tundra's stubborn earth into these designated graves. Watch as the ground trembles faintly, snow swirling into unnatural vortices. From the disturbed earth emerges not decay, but power, a spectral steed, its form shimmering like moonlight on frost. Glastria, the icy behemoth, or Spectria, its ghostly counterpart, rises to heed the ancient call. These aren't random Pokémon, they're the lost mounts of Calyrex itself, bound to this cemetery through rites that blur life, death, and the beyond. The seeds act as keys, coaxing the steeds from their earthen slumber, reuniting them with their diminutive king in a bond forged across eons. But why a graveyard? Why bury steeds of such might among the human dead? The implications crawl under your skin. Calyrex, once guardian of the tundra's bounty, watched its people fade plagues, famines, or perhaps the same cataclysm that scarred the Watchtower ruins. In desperation, rituals were performed here, seeding the graves with promises of rebirth. The steeds, loyal to the end, refused to abandon their charges, sinking into the soil to guard the fallen. Even now, separated for centuries, they await the signal, their summons echoing with the sorrow of a kingdom unremembered. Galar's official histories speak of heroes and battles, yet this massive cemetery holding thousands suggests a society grander, more tragic, scrubbed clean from the record. Stand among those tombstones at midnight, and the wind carries faint whispers, or so survivors claim. Shadows lengthen unnaturally, and some swear they've seen translucent figures kneeling at fresh-dug patches, as if mourning the steed's long absence. The erasure feels deliberate, a veil drawn by time or meddling hands to prevent old powers from stirring. What calamity befell them? Did Calyrex's verdant crown wither under betrayal, or did the tundra reclaim its own in a frozen purge? The old cemetery offers no answers, only the hollow gaze of stones that have outlasted empires. This forgotten dead remind us how fragile history truly is in Pokemon's world. Civilizations rise on the backs of legendaries, only to crumble into frostbitten silence. As we leave the giant's bed behind, our chills unrelenting, the tundra yields one final shadow on the horizon, the silhouette of a derelict vessel adrift in warmer seas, whispering of corporate greed and ghostly voyages. What horrors lurk aboard the corporate ghost ship? That tale waits just ahead. From the frost-bitten silence of Galar's giant's bed, where those weathered tombstones whisper of lives long erased by ice, our path now turns southward across vast oceans, back to the sun-drenched shores of Hoenn. Here, the chill gives way to humid breezes, carrying the tang of salt and rust, drawing us to a relic not of ancient stone, but of cold steel ambition. Sea Mauville, the corporate ghost ship that plunged into oblivion. This hulking behemoth floats adrift today, a skeletal frame lashed to the waves off Route 127, its decks groaning under the weight of forgotten industry. Once, it pulsed with life as the crown jewel of the Devon Corporation's maritime empire, a massive energy platform designed to harvest the sea's hidden riches. Picture the frenzy of its heyday in the late 20th century. Cranes screeching as they lowered drilling rigs into the abyss, workers in hard hats swarming catwalks slick with spray, all chasing the promise of boundless deep-sea fuel. Devon poured fortunes into transforming this old cruise liner into a floating fortress of progress, its generators humming day and night to power Hoen's growing cities. But progress has a way of devouring itself, and Sea Mauville's story unravels into something far darker. Dive beneath the surface, and the truth emerges from the murk. The upper decks, exposed to relentless tides, bear the scars of neglect, peeling paint flaking like dead skin, railings bent and barnacle-crusted, corridors echoing with the drip of seawater through fractured bulkheads. Graffiti scars the walls, names of daring explorers who slipped aboard in the dead of night while rusted machinery looms like the bones of some mechanical leviathan. Yet it's the lower levels, flooded and forsaken, that pull you deeper into the void. Oxygen tanks litter the floors, half buried in silt, and the air grows thick with the metallic bite of corrosion, lit only by the faint glow of your lantern piercing shafts of light from above. What drove this monstrosity to its watery grave? Scattered amid the wreckage lie the remnants of its secrets, waterlogged logbooks swollen with brine, their pages translucent and brittle, fluttering like trapped spirits when disturbed. Flip through them, and the corporate facade cracks open. Entries from the facility's final months speak of relentless pressure from Devon's boardroom quotas for rare minerals extracted from hydrothermal vents, experiments pushing the boundaries of Pokémon labor in the crushing depths. Relicanth hauled up in nets too small, their ancient eyes dulled by exhaustion. Corsola colonies dynamited for calcium deposits to fuel battery innovations. One faded report details enhanced dive trials on lantern specimens, electrodes fused to their antennae to amplify bioluminescent yields. Notes scribbled in haste about subjects convulsing in tanks, their lights flickering out one by one. The unethical underbelly ran deeper still. Deeper logs hint at bioengineering ventures gone awry, fusing seawater samples with Pokémon DNA to birth hybrid fuels. Whispers of clampearl mutations yielding volatile energy orbs that destabilize the hull. Safety overrides ignored, corners cut for quarterly profits until the sea fought back. A catastrophic breach, they called it officially, a sudden rupture in the lower reactor chamber, perhaps from overtaxed machinery or a vengeful tremor from the ocean floor. But survivors' accounts, pieced from Slateport rumors and those sodden journals, paint a nightmare of alarms blaring through flooded halls. Crews scrambling for escape pods as the rig listed violently, swallowing itself in a maelstrom of bubbles and screams. In minutes, Sea Mauville sank 30 meters, entombing its sins in the dark. Today, nature exacts its quiet revenge, weaving beauty through the decay. Algae cloaks the girders in emerald veils, turning rusted hulls into living tapestries that sway with the current. Shoals of chinchou dart like living lanterns through portholes, their soft glow illuminating forgotten control rooms where dials still point to zero. Deeper still, the flooded engine bays teem with life unbidden. Huntail and Gorbis glide through turbine shadows, their sinuous forms coiling around exhaust pipes like guardians of the deep. Relicanth cluster in cavernous holds, ancient survivors oblivious to the hubris that nearly ended them. while Goldeen schools weave iridescent patterns over submerged desks strewn with yellowed memos. Tentacool drift lazily, tentacles brushing against keyboards frozen mid-command, as if mocking the hands that once typed orders to exploit their world. Wander the labyrinthine passages, and the air hums with an otherworldly peace, broken only by the muffled thrum of distant waves. A sharpedo might circle silently, drawn by your light, its jagged maw a reminder that the sea reclaims all. Poke around the captain's quarters, and you might unearth a final log, profit secured, facility viable, no anomalies detected. Ironic words etched before the abyss answered. Sea Mauville endures as Hoen's submerged cautionary tale, a monument to corporate greed drowned in its own excess. Now a sanctuary where the ocean's children thrive amid the ruins of human folly. As the currents carry echoes of those lost ambitions away, our journey surfaces toward even stranger abandonments beyond the games themselves. Stay with me for Chapter 26, the real-world Ghost Park, where a Pokémon paradise rose and vanished in the blink of an eye, leaving behind a haunting void that blurs the line between fantasy and forgotten reality. As the rusted corridors of Sea Mauville fade into the deep Hoenn currents, swallowed by corporate overreach and forgotten ambition, our journey through Pokémon's abandoned shadows takes an unexpected turn, one that pierces the screen itself. You've wandered pixelated ruins across Kanto's Tannabe chambers, Johto's charred brass tower, and Paldea's greed-haunted towers. But right here, in our world, a colossal Pokémon paradise rose and vanished almost overnight, leaving behind a true ghost park in Aichi, Japan. Picture the spring of 2005, when excitement for the upcoming Diamond and Pearl games pulsed through the Pokémon fandom. Nestled in the heart of Aichi Prefecture, just outside Nagoya, the Poke Park burst open its gates on March 19th. This wasn't some modest fan attraction, it sprawled across 70,000 square meters, a massive wonderland designed by the Pokémon Company to herald the Sinnoh era. Towering entry gates shaped like Pokeballs welcomed hordes of visitors, while vibrant zones recreated the thrill of the games in flesh and steel. Wander through Poke Park WX, the main hub mirroring Pokémon world exploration. Kids and adults alike dash toward the massive Ferris wheel called Pokédora, its cabins themed after beloved Pokémon, spinning high above gardens bursting with life-size statues of Pikachu, Piplup and Turtwig. The air hummed with cheerful J-pop remixes of battle themes, and parades of costumed characters marched daily, Pikachu leading squads of Eevee evolutions in synchronized dances that drew cheers from every corner. Inside themed arenas, you could command holographic Pokémon in real-time battles, or dive into the chill-out zone for serene boat rides past waterfalls guarded by majestic statues of Dialga and Palkia, the very guardians teased in Diamond and Pearl trailers. But Poke Park went further, blurring lines between play and immersion. The massive play zone featured towering slides twisting through Pikachu's cheeks, trampolines under Lucario's watchful gaze, and interactive fountains where water jets mimicked hydro pump attacks. Families picnicked amid flower fields dotted with Pokémon topiaries, while snack stands served curry flavored like the game's beloved item. Night fell with dazzling light shows, projections of legendary Pokémon dancing across the sky, all to stoke hype for Sinnoh's release later that year. Attendance soared at first over 1 million visitors in those initial months, proving Pokémon's grip on the world was ironclad, a physical manifestation of the franchise's unstoppable momentum. Yet, by September 4th, 2005, just 6 months after opening the gates, slammed shut forever. No dramatic catastrophe, no in-game lore of divine wrath or ancient curses. Simple economics. Attendance dipped as the novelty wore off, overshadowed by Japan's economic slump and competition from bigger parks like Tokyo Disney Sea. The Pokémon Company pulled the plug abruptly, citing unsustainable costs for such a sprawling operation. Employees packed up attractions overnight, the Ferris wheel halted mid-rotation, parades silenced, holograms powered down. Poke Park, this beacon of joy built to launch a generation, became a hollow shell, fenced off and left to the elements. One final whisper of life came in 2006. The entire park dismantled, shipped across the sea, toured Taiwan from June to September, rechristened Poke Park Taiwan. Crowds there savoured the imported magic one last time. The same slides, statues, and shows transplanted to a temporary site in Taoyuan, but even that was ephemeral. By autumn, it dissolved completely, attractions scattered or scrapped, the tour's end marking Poke Park's true extinction. No archives, no official merchandise flood, just fading photos from fans who snuck peeks before demolition crews razed the Aichi site by 2007. Today, that land in Aichi sits repurposed, a nondescript field or warehouse lot, scrubbed clean of Pokemon's touch. Vines never crept over ruins here. Bulldozers ensured no melancholic decay like C. Mauville's hull. Online, grainy videos capture the park's pulse, children shrieking on water slides, fireworks blooming over Dialga's silhouette, but they're all that's left. No revival whispers from Nintendo. The Poke Park name echoes only in forgotten corners of fan wikis. Its Pokemon history physically erased, mirroring the in-game ghosts we've traced. Brass Tower's eternal burn scars, Relic Castle's sand-buried halls, Gimmigool's lonely vigils, a vibrant empire, built on hype, crumbled to nothing, teaching us that even in reality, some wonders seal themselves away forever. This lost Poke Park stands as our world's own abandoned ruin, a poignant bridge from virtual lore to tangible loss. And as we reflect on these echoes of what once was, prepare yourself for Chapter 27, the eternal slumber of forgotten lore, where we'll unearth secrets so deeply buried they might just rewrite the myths you've always known. From the fleeting lights of Poke Park's forgotten rides, we return to the Pokemon world, where abandonment isn't measured in years, but in epochs, places that have sunk into an eternal slumber, their whispers silenced by the weight of hubris and the hand of the divine. Consider the Tannabe ruins, scattered across the Sevii Islands like shattered teeth in the ocean's maw. These vast chambers, etched with puzzles meant to summon the enigmatic unown, speak of an ancient people who dared to pierce the veil between worlds. They built with precision, aligning stones to channel otherworldly script, believing they could command the unseen. But the unown came and went like mist, leaving only echoes in the damp corridors. No footsteps have echoed there since, the sea reclaiming what ambition built, turning grand designs into a hollow void where water laps at forgotten glyphs. That same arrogance pulses through the Alph ruins in Johto, twin shadows to Tanobi's mystery. Hidden beneath Johto's rolling hills, these labyrinths hum with the same unown riddles, suggesting a shared civilization that spanned seas, chasing knowledge they were never meant to hold. Solaceon ruins join the chorus, their walls scarred by the same script, a testament to builders who vanished without a trace. What calamity befell them? Did the unown themselves turn away, sealing the doors with indifference? Now, only silence reigns, a profound emptiness that pulls you deeper into the earth's quiet belly. Rise to Ecruteak city, where the brass tower stands as charred bones against the sky. Erected 700 years ago, shoulder to shoulder with its golden sibling, the bell tower, it was meant to cradle Ho-Oh, the rainbow-winged guardian. Human hands reached too high, their pride igniting flames. 150 years passed, 3 beasts perished in the inferno, only to be reborn as Entei's blaze. Raiku's storm and Suicune's crystal purity. Ho-Oh fled, Lugia retreated to the Whirl Island's depths, and the tower crumbled into burned ruins. Feel the ash still settling in your lungs, the wind carrying faint howls through blackened beams, a divine rebuke etched in soot. Nearby, in a fissure long healed by time, the spiritomb sealing site lingers, like a grudge unbound. 500 years ago, this malevolent spirit wrought havoc, its misdeeds so grave that humans bound it to an odd keystone, imprisoning 1,000 souls in fractured stone. The odd keystone sits now in quiet vigil, a pebble of punishment amid overgrown paths. Touch it, and shadows stir, but mostly it waits in stillness, the void of its containment mirroring the empire that forged it. Deeper into Johto's chill, Snow Point Temple guards its colossal secret. After the Iron Age's forge fires dimmed, worshippers sealed Regigigas here, towing its continental siblings Regirock from distant quarries, Regis from glacial hearts, Registeel from molten veins to Hoen's wilds. They prayed for power, but the golems slumbered instead, their massive forms cracking stone floors as they shifted in uneasy rest. The temple's halls, lined with frost-rimed altars, exhale a breath of forgotten devotion, the air heavy with the dust of toppled idols. Sinnoh's Turnback cave beckons next, a warped throat near Veilstone City swallowing light and legend. Myths whisper of a Pokémon fleeing into the distortion world, Giratina, perhaps, banished for its chaos. The cave's fog-cloaked paths loop eternally, forcing intruders to confront their own distortions. No army ever conquered it. Pokémon lore insists reliance on bonds over blades, a lesson carved in the cave's endless turns. Emerge changed, or not at all. The void here devours direction, leaving only the soft patter of dripping stone. At Fogbound Lake, the true eraser awaits. Uxie, the being of knowledge, dwells in waters that wipe memories clean. Venture too close, and thoughts dissolve like ink in rain. Mystery dungeon tales warn of wanderers emerging blank-eyed, their pasts sunk to the lake bed. The surface mirrors a flawless sky, unbroken save for ripples from unseen depths. Sit by its edge, and feel your own recollections soften, the lake's gentle hush inviting surrender to the quiet that follows knowing too much. Unova's sands bury deeper sins. Relic Castle sprawls beneath the desert, its corridors choked with the ghosts of a collapsed kingdom. Sunken via dive in abyssal ruins east of Undella Town, this temple plunged when Hubris summoned catastrophe, perhaps the ultimate weapon's shadow, echoing Geioenge's war-torn craters in Kalos. Route 4's relics, desert resorts dunes, relic passages tunnels all lead to vaults where treasures mock the seekers. Gold gleams faintly through sand, but the halls ring empty, the empire's decay a slow sift into oblivion. Kalos whispers of weapons forged in hubris, Geioenge's soil scarred by the ultimate weapon's pulse. Victory Road's shadows hide similar falls. Alola's ruins, conflict, life, abundance, hope, encircle altars, where guardians clashed with Solgaleo and Lunala 500 years ago. Ancient pony path winds through mist, its stones worn by battles divine. The lakes of Sunna and Moon reflect faded glories, their waters still as the peace they enforced. Galar's Watchtower ruins brood in the wild area, fog-shrouded sentinels beside Stoon's sides peeling murals of apocalypse. Route 6 and 8 fade into slumbering Weald's eternal mist, where the darkest day's echoes linger. Paldea's Gimihul towers rise as hollow crowns for the treasures of ruin, their blocked caves veiling Wochien, Qianpao, Tinglu, and Okadogi in shadowed rest. Leaking tower drips with the greed it devoured. Even Hoen's prehistoric scars tell the tale 10,000 years ago. The Ice Age thawed, Mamoswine herds dwindled, Magikarp mutated into fragility. Kyogre and Groudon's primal clash rent the land, quelled by Rayquaza's saw, leaving Seamauville's modern wreck as a footnote to ancient floods. These are the threads of a tapestry unraveling, civilizations that worshipped, sealed, and warred with gods, only to face punishment in fire, blood, and forgetting. Empires rose on the backs of legendaries, crumbled under their gaze. Brass towers burn, temples sink into abyssal hush, lakes erase the bold. What remains is the void, a profound, quiet emptiness, where vines reclaim thrones, winds polish bones, and waters fill the halls of the proud. Let that void envelop you now. Picture sinking temples cradling their secrets in cool embrace, burned towers exhaling final sighs of smoke, memory-wiping lakes smoothing the ripples of history. The Pokémon world's darkest chapters fade into this eternal slumber, their echoes softening to a lullaby of decay. Drift with them. Let the forgotten lore settle like dust on your thoughts. In this quiet, all empires rest equal. Sleep claims the ruins, and you. What did you think of this journey? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this changed your perspective or taught you something new, consider subscribing for more mind-expanding content. And if you know someone who would find this as fascinating as you did, share it with them. These are the kind of conversations that matter.